Hello, ladies and gentlemen, to the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. It's race number 3, and on Freaky Fast, it's our second night of watching Auto Club as we are here again. But instead of 100 laps like it was last night for that of the Stars and Stripes Xfinity Series, it's 120 laps at this 2-mile beast of a course. And we're in the Cup cars where drivers are trying to start out the season strong. It's only race number 3, and we're excited for it. My name is Sam Dyer, and tonight we're switching it up again. I think every single Saturday night we've been changing up who's in the booth. And tonight, because it's Auto Club, it's going to be crazy. Why not add some funk? It's David Funky Cole Medina up in the booth with me. David, we're ready for some crazy action here at Auto Club.
Absolutely. This track here is an amazing track to run. It's a large track. It's a flat track. We're gonna have a stage coming up, so it's gonna be a lot of fun to be sitting up here with you, Sam, calling this race and calling all the excitement that's going to go along with it.
I mean, David, there was a little bit of shuffling early on of who was going to be in the booth here tonight, and you were originally scheduled to race, but it seems like the race here tonight, drivers are really unsure of how tonight's going to run. What are some of the major factors that drivers are dealing with under practice and for the race?
Yeah, I ran some laps earlier today, just kind of getting ready for this race, and some of the challenges they're going to face here is that tire wear. So you'll be able to run side by side for the first couple of laps, but then you're going to have to work your way up to the front there's not a whole lot of banking on this track, so that barrier makes it difficult to make passes. So you got to set up those passes. You got to set them up in the straightaway, get a run, and try to go inside, and then do a slide job to get up front in front of somebody.
As we ride on board with the two of Danny Cochran trying to get a little bit of practice here by himself, kind of qualifying practice for himself. 25 seconds left in that practice. Top of the board is that of Thomas Walter, but all those times are based off of the draft and when drivers were in large groups working with one another. And as practice is coming to a close, do want to give a big thanks to our amazing sponsors, those at the NAISCC side of things. Again, Track Racer, yet we talk about them Monday night. We got to talk about them about here because they're the primary sponsor of the Cup Series. Track Racer, refined gaming. If you're trying to think about starting up your first racing rig or simulated rig for that of flying, any trains, racing, whatever your simulation needs are, or if you're trying to just finish your racing rig, Track Racer has you covered with some of the best in that of gears getting your rig finished. Track Racer, refined gaming. If you'd like to get a discount from Track Racer, go message NAISCC on their Facebook page, as well as Simbox Store. You really push our buttons. Big thanks to Simbox Store. We're going to touch on them more later on this race, as well as ButtKicker, Feel What You've Been Missing, and McConey Setup Shop. All those amazing sponsors. We'll touch on them more as currently right now hitting the tracks, drivers for qualifying. Hey, David, we're going to be seeing drivers starting qualifying here. Qualifying, this might be one of the most important parts of this whole entire race here tonight.
Yeah, I agree, Sam. But usually when you come to a track that's like this large, this size of a track, you don't really worry too much about qualifying because you can usually get in the draft and make passes and stuff. But here, as difficult as it is to make passes, qualifying is really going to matter. It's really going to make drivers' lives easier if you can start up towards the front. So yeah, it's going to be key to watch these guys get around this track and lay down those best laps they can and work their way to the front here.
Yeah, as we're riding on board with that Buddy Custom Bates number 2 of Danny Cochran. We saw him doing some practice, running the higher line, trying to build up that speed and momentum from that of Harlan, Kentucky. Danny Cochran, one of the drivers, David, coming into this week, one of the hottest drivers on the Truck Series on Monday nights, but on the Cup side, trying to still find that speed as this 2 machine.
Yeah, coming from the Truck Series, he's been doing a fantastic job in the Truck Series, and coming into the Cup cars, it's a little bit different than also the drivers in the Cup. Just an amazing group of guys in this league here that are really, really quick. So, he's just having to work his way through and get comfortable in this car and with these drivers. But this is going to be a challenging track for a lot of guys. But hopefully he'll be able to put something together here, get a good qualifying, and work his way to the front during the race.
We're also seeing the first lap going to be all the way on the high line. Very different, but at the same time trying to build that momentum, David. And now we see the 2 car dropping it low, getting ready for this money lap.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good plan here, running that first lap just to get a little bit of heat in your tires, and then coming in your second lap, getting them as much momentum as possible, run that bottom line, and lay that fast lap down.
And you can see top of the board shifting back and forth. Champ, your season 1 and 2 champion of the NAISCC Cup Series. Tom Senchak topping the board with a 41.16. Currently, with that of Vincent Sora, going to be second on the board as Danny Cochran for himself going to be flying around trying to best his time. Was 25th on the board with that first lap. His second lap, as we're going to be seeing it move forward, as he's going to go top of the board. Danny Cochran topping it with a 41.11. David, I think that first lap was what you needed to do. Not a lot of other drivers I was watching doing that, going to the top line on that first lap and dropping down on the second. Hey, that is a winning formula that the 2 machine just put down.
Yeah, amazing lap there, 41.12. And then Tom laying a 41.17, so just kind of show, what kind of run Danny had and just the plan that he put out there for his qualifying time. So, maybe spent a lot of time during practice just working on that qualifying setup, and it looks like it's paying off for him.
Yeah, now we're going to be hopping on board with Brian Johnson, our driver that came into Season 4, was one of the most winningest drivers from the previous season in Season 3, came up short for a championship run, lost that to Cedric Hunter, but this 28 team looking to find the pace to get his first win of the season. An Auto Club We look back to last season, it was actually Kyle Rochelle that won at Auto Club. We'll see if any redemption can be made by the 28 to try to get a victory here as his first lap comes down, and currently 31st on the board, as we'll see what in the second lap what the 28 has for himself.
Yeah, and Brandon Coley laying down a 41.14, so good lap by him. So we're currently listed as second place, so could be looking to start on the outside pole.
Yeah, right now still seeing where driver's going to lie. Again, Brian Johnson had to move from that of Category 5 Esports to start the Magnitude 9. Mag 9 is headed by this 28 team. As you see, Brian Johnson coming across the line for his final lap here for qualifying. Only 22 seconds left in qualifying for these drivers. And just like that, Brian Johnson moving up to 8th on the board with a 41.20.
Yeah, looking at the top five, top six qualifying times, 4:12 and 4:19 separating the top five drivers. So really close qualifying times. I think just goes to show everyone putting their best effort to try and get that top front starting position because I think it's really going to matter at this track.
Absolutely, as it's going to be again. Big thanks to all of our sponsors. More on the Simbox store. If you're really looking for any way to enhance your simulation gaming experience, get yourself a Simbox from the Simbox store. It works for that of the American truck simulator, flight simulator, farm simulator, train simulator, and of course, iRacing for that of racing simulators. Also has the electronic information from iFlag. It's going to be connected in. If you'd like to get more information or get yourself a Simbox from the Simbox store, look them up on eBay, Facebook, and for more details, go look on their Facebook page. The Simbox store. You really push our buttons. As we look to see where the drivers lie here for qualifying, it's Danny Cochran in the 2, going to be getting that first place position, with Brandon Colley going to be getting second. Tom Sinchek going to be in third place, with Vincent Sora in fourth, finishing out row number 2. Row number 3 going to be that of Zach Hall and Jacob Morris. As row 4 going to be Aaron Kralik, as well as Brian Johnson. Finishing out your top 10 going to be Max Foner and Ryan Bird, and I'll give you the rest of the top 20 there, David.
All right. In the 20, we got Thomas Green, then we got Sean Huffler, then we got Dakota Moynes, and we got Marquise. Then we have James in the 15th position there. Jonathan Pittman starting 16th. We got Trevor Earnhardt starting 17th. Cedric Hunter starting 18th. And then Adam Westfield starting 19th position. And then we got Kyle finishing out the top 20.
Kyle Rochelle got a lot of work to do. Got to be in 20. It's going to be in 21st is James Levelin in the 56 machine. In 22nd, we find that of Brandon Jenks in the 08, with that of Martin Morales in 23rd, Thomas Walter in 24th, Dylan Walterman in 25th. Rookies, a lot of them there of that of Dylan Walterman in 25th, Alex Light, Ethan Smith, newcomer in the 6th. We actually had to change that out as Joseph Kazi has departed from this league. The 6th was open. Zach's coming going to be taking that position in the 6th machine. Rookies, and as well in 29th, Ryan Lewis, another rookie, and then some drivers that we've seen before. Tyler Dangler going to be in 30th. 31st going to be that of Michael Sky, as well as Nick Crawford, our Daytona winner, going to be back in 32nd position. It looks like we got 32 drivers on track for the starting grid. Jacob Watson will be on pit road if he decides to make the start. David, drivers getting ready to go moving 120 laps. Stage break, stage 1, going to be on lap 45 for these drivers. But we noted on it before we went live, the first 4 to 5 laps is where all the racing action is going to be before they start to single file out. What are some things you're expecting to see here early on?
Yeah, I'm expecting to see some really good, side-by-side racing guys jockeying for position. They're going to try and get, take as much advantage as they possibly can of fresh tires and try to get up to the top line as soon as possible so they don't get freight train trying to run the bottom line.
You see the 20 Home Depot machine, that is actually the 51, a Max Foner. So if you hear 20 or 51, that is Max Foner, just to let everyone know. But up front, it's Danny Cochran, Brandon Colley, Tom Sinchek, Vincent Sora, and Zach Hall. Drivers Hall still looking for a victory as the pace truck pulls off. It's time to get some racing action. Race number 3 of the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. Well, it's time, Barney. It's the Auto Club 240. We are green as they go racing down into turn number 1, and already a little bit of jostling on where drivers want to go. It's Johnson already on that third lane.
Yeah, coming through turn 1 and then coming out of the exit 2, you're going to see, this is a pretty wide track, so you can run multiple crews, 3 wide, 4 wide here, and have plenty of room to do so. But that exit there, it's real easy to get drifting up towards the wall, especially if you're on the bottom line. It can get hard to hold it. These guys are doing a great job so far in coming out to first lap.
It's going to be Danny Cochran, Tom Sinchek just in line, with Brandon Colley being forced to wonder where is Brian Johnson. Jacob Moore's going to go, but up front, ducking it down low, trying to make the pass to lead lap number 1. Tom Sinchek is there, and leading that first lap is Tom Sinchek by 9 thousandths of a second. But don't look now, here comes that Brandon Colley on that third lane, as well as Brian Johnson. One of our biggest movers so far is the 28.
Yeah, these guys are battling hard already, trying to get that lead. And again, we're seeing it. These guys are just all over the place across the track. And here he is, Danny fighting back out on the outside.
He's doing his best, trying to find that momentum. Crossover moves the two. Going to be forcing to the inside, and here comes that of the 8. Sinchek once again to the inside and finding the speed through the center of 3 and 4, as it's going to be allowing the 8 machine to lead again. Tom Sinchek, he might not be able to fully make the pass just yet, but he's found the speed early on to at least lead these first couple of laps. Now the question is, David, where will Brian Johnson go? Because we noted on only in the first 4 or 5 laps that Sinchek going to be getting losing ground just slightly, and he gets back in line.
Yeah, easy to do down there on the bottom because it's such a low banking, and your tire gets heat and stuff in there. You start losing more and more grip. So these guys are racing hard by not getting that heat up in that tire. So great racing side by side. And it's going to be, these guys will get it sorted out here. At some point, they'll go single file and then start working the draft to set themselves up for passes.
Line, single file on the inside, and with being a 2-mile course, Auto Club Speedway, David, at times it feels like this is a super speedway with how important the draft is on the straightaways for these drivers. And you see everyone scattered around where they want to go. Up front, single filing out, but still 2 wide, almost 3 wide in the middle of the pack.
Yeah, definitely. These guys, again, they're going to be trying to get everything they can with the tires, and that's from the beginning all the way to the back of the field there. You're going to race hard. You're going to try and use your tires while you got them. And try to pick up those positions and stuff. And you can see guys, as soon as there's the hole there, you're going to try and fill that hole, as soon as that door opens up for you to get in line and stay in that draft.
And you see the face on the hood, Brian Johnson, whose face is all over the place on that vehicle, and now going to be taking the lead is the 28 machine, as we see the drivers. It's going to be a jostling back and forth, David, but at some point we do know that they're going to be just not having the grip to make these passes, but hey, they're still getting scrappy. You see that of Aaron Kralik going to be in the 0-1, trying to make a pass here on Ryan Bird, as well as trying to get by our Atlanta winner from last week, that of Thomas Green. Green's been looking quick for himself, and we'll see if that 31 machine gets moving. He's going to snell out here before he gets to the top 5.
Yeah, we were seeing there, there with Ryan Bird, the cars running side by side with each other, and if you're the car on the outside line, that's the one that needs to be really, really cautious of the car on the inside of you, because if he starts losing grip and he'll slide right into you, and then you're the one that ends up paying the price by getting slid up into the wall. So if you're that driver on the outside, it's not smooth sailing for you.
Well, you see that of Tram Jam, that in the 20, that's James Tremmel, who is running the proper 20 machine, and you saw a little bit of glimpse of it of the Home Depot 20. That's Max Foner, who usually is running Max Motorsports 51, but a little bit of complication before coming into the session, so it gave him the wrong scheme at what would be the 51 of Max Foner. Currently the Home Depot 20, who is starting to move forward and find some speed.
Yeah, hopefully that's the only issue he has. I'm sure he'll be happy if that's the only issue he has on this track. But coming off these turns here, we're going to see these guys. They're going to inch closer and closer to the wall. And what you want to be careful if you're on the outside lane is not making contact with that wall. It'll shoot you right back down on the inside track. And if there's a car on the inside, you're all going to be making some contact.
You also are seeing the pink on the 44 of Maurice Gomillion. A couple of drivers decided to rock some pink. It's October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so drivers just wanting to share their awareness and also loving the fact that they're rolling with pink. Go Million has the pink also on his nameplate inside of the car. And there's a couple of drivers that are running pink as well. I believe the 32 of that of Zach Hall's running some pink as well on the hood of the 25 of that of Trevor Earhart's also running a little bit of pink. And probably the most definite one is the 6th running a Raise Energy. That rookie of Comella is going to be running pink as well. The one driver that runs pink all season, all year, that of Cedric Hunter, our champion from last season. He's always running that pink Hello Kitty machine. So sometimes it's for awareness, other times it's just because it's a regular scheme.
Yeah, you got to give your hats off to these guys that are, running the pink color for this month. Really appreciate them stepping up and doing that. And just want to give a little shout out real quick to Nick Crawford, up 15 spots already. So he's definitely, pushing himself and working his way up.
Yeah, Nick Crawford, as well as the driver ahead of him, that being Ethan Smith. Both drivers have been doing a great job moving forward, and they're kind of working with one another as you see the freaky fast machine, that of Dylan Walterman. As you see also throughout the field, we talked about pink, Zach Hall. You see his pink machine that he's running and changing up the different schemes they want to run. But car going to be off the road. It's that of Brandon Jenks in the 08, back to 30th now, and in the infield. Got loose, got pushed out of the way, and lost a ton of ground as a 08. He actually got into the wall and made contact with that of the 21. And luckily, that of Jonathan Pittman, somehow did not bring out a yellow.
Yeah, something that didn't bring out a yellow, and he was able to get it safely back on the track. Didn't really see a whole lot of damage, maybe a little bit on the left rear. Didn't see anything on the nose of the car, which is pretty important here on this track.
And drivers still going to be trying to recover as the 08 of Jenks and the 21 of Pittman. As you see, a little bit of crinkle there on the front right of the 21. Damage is there for those drivers, and they're just hoping that they could just limp it to the comp caution on lap 45, which, David, I was hearing from the drivers, is it questionable for them to even make it all the way to stage break with fuel?
Yeah, I would question whether they could make it all the way stage break on the fuel, one tank fuel. I would suspect that they'll probably have to limit it.
Well, now drivers have that decision. When and where will they want to come into and make that pit stop for themselves? As we're seeing still a little bit of jostling, and we touched on the fact that drivers are going to be aggressive those first 5 laps, trying to utilize their tires to move up in positions. But David, something we didn't touch on was, hey, there's that little period of single file racing, and then here's the resurgence of drivers that were saving their tires from the immediate start and now making their push up to the lead.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly right. And tires is important on every track, but this track here, again, with the low banking and stuff, if you can save your tires, a little bit on the start, then it gives you this opportunity here to make a little bit more run for it, a little bit safer passing when you're a little more single file. So we'll be seeing who's done a better job right now at saving their tires early in the onset.
And drivers that were up front and were challenging for the lead, Tom Sinchek, he is probably our biggest loser so far of the top 10, down 4 positions. Biggest driver that has lost the most positions is Zach Hall, that is only back in 31st position. And, it's also that of Max Foner, who has lost a lot of ground. But drivers moving forward, you touched on it, that of Nick Crawford, making a lot of moves forward. That 11 now up 18 positions, and he just continues the surge forward with himself. He did have his partner, that of Ethan Smith. Smith has now kind of hit his plateau of 17th position, but our Daytona winner, he is still moving forward and now cracking the top 15.
Yeah, these guys just doing a fantastic job on this track here. This track here is not an easy track. You experience all kinds of things from being loose on the exit to being tight on entry. It's just it's got a whole gamut of different things that you're experiencing as a driver. These guys have done a great job so far in managing all that. Now they're settled in, their tires are worn, and now they know what they have for the rest of the race, and see what adjustments they might need to do after the first pit stop or after the first stage.
Now as we're riding on the top of the 11, we're actually going to go do an onboard cockpit view of the 31 of Thomas Green, our Atlanta winner, as we're going to see exactly what it's like up front, side by side. Thomas Green currently in 7th, But David, a sense of how chaotic it still is up front.
Definitely chaotic. We're still seeing some of these guys, running side by side here, and I tell you, with this amount of laps on your tires, especially on the exit, very crazy. You can see here, it's real difficult just not to drift up on that exit. And when you have those cars that are running the high line, I mean, you can see it's just a freight train just running right past you.
Yeah, I mean, he's got zero help on the inside. Another thing I was noticing is how bumpy it is on the straightaway as well as in the corner, as the 31 getting a little bit onto the apron. Got to be careful as he's got the 5 as well as the 44 of Comillion on the outside of the 31, but he's starting to find a pocket that he can finally slot into. And man, I mean, we're just seeing now, we got to see a little bit of that flip of you got, saving up your tires, you can move forward. It looks like we're getting back into that single file racing again.
Yeah, we are. I think it's just different stages of the tires for these guys. Again, you're getting guys that maybe did a little bit better job saving on the onset, and now they're racing hard to try and make those passes. Then their tires will heat up, and so they end up falling back in line and running around trying to cool their tires back off. But want to definitely give out another shout out to Danny. Started on the pole there, and now running second, but he's done a great job in keeping his car up front, and he definitely didn't just have a fast qualifying. He's got a good car underneath him, so he might be someone to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I mean, Danny Cochran looking to make sure he gets a win here. Vincent Sora as well in the 15. And those are two drivers that are teammates that do so well working with one another in the truck series. They're trying to translate that to the cup side of things, and looks like for the lead, the 2, Danny Cochran now finding a little bit of resurgence for himself. The 2 to the inside, trying to make a slide job move here on Brian Johnson, but just not able to clear enough. But it looks like a little bit of help. Here it comes out of Jacob Morris trying to give a bump. Sinchek gonna follow in suit, and it's all about that draft. And the 28 looks like he's all on his lonesome on the inside, but here comes a surge from the 15.
Yeah, he had no help there coming. When they were coming off the turn 4, they all went inside with Danny and trying to work their way around him. So maybe they're thinking that's the guy to beat. But that was a great demonstration right there of how important this draft is on the straightaways.
You find your friends, find your allies, and sometimes, hey, the best person is the enemy of my enemy is my friend at moments. As Johnson went from the lead position and now back to 4th, and might even fall even further back. Danny Cochran not going to be moving up to 2nd. Jake Morris going to be moving up to that. The 2 up to 1st. 2nd place is Jacob Morris. Johnson still trying to make the inside lane work, but you see 3 wide back for that of 6th. And David, this late into a run, we're almost now 20 laps into this thing. The tires are starting to slip away, but because of how wide this track is, they're making it stick.
Yeah, when you were sitting there talking, I was sitting there myself, wow, 3 wide. After 18, 19 laps, and they're running 3 wide. That's impressive. But yeah, these tires, after this many laps, it definitely has some fall off, and it makes it difficult to stick on exit. Entry not too bad, but on exit is where you really struggle with. These guys are doing a fantastic job of making it happen.
Again, a reminder for these drivers, as well as for you as the audience and us in the booth, stage break is on lap 45. So only the top 5 that are going to get stage points and get those bonus points to help themselves out. But right now, looking and riding on the back bumper of that Orion Berg, gain a sense of who's going to be trying to make the moves up front. As you got to say, Ryan Berg, great run, 5th place currently for the 49. As he's got that Prolic. Dakota Moniz, I think, is also another great shot. The 5 has had terrible luck in the truck series. He's trying to swap the narrative here in the cup side of things for season 4. And Dakota Moniz is doing everything in his power, but it's always that luck after we get halfway into a run where it just seems like there's a shift on what the world is trying to do to the 5.
Yeah, I want to comment on something you said earlier about the track being wide. These guys running 3 wide just a few laps ago. Yeah, this track is definitely wide enough. It just allows these drivers that, if they do end up getting loose on exit, or if they have any issues, it gives them a lot more room to try and save that car. So I think that's what makes it real inviting for these guys to try and take it 2 and 3 wide even this late into a run.
Well, they went 3 wide up front for a little bit, but our top 14 all in line now. It went from chaos to now the calm. On before the next chaos, it might be, as the next side-by-side action that's going on is this second pack of cars being led by Nick Crawford, Sean Hutzstutler, Trevor Earhart, as well as that of Thomas Walter. Walter stuck on the inside and just being passed like he's stuck in molasses. So now he's going to get back in line after being passed by James Loveland. And not a lot of passing going on up front now, but certainly a lot of drivers. Well, as I say that, though, as we move up to that of an 8th place, they were thinking about going 3 wide again.
Yeah, it definitely isn't over, and we'll be seeing it, here and there. These guys will stay in line, get their cars cooled down a little bit, and then try to make that pass again. But just looking at the lap times of Danny and Jacob up there, 42.99 and a 42.94. These guys are running pretty similar lap times with each other. A lot of that is with the help of the draft.
Well, we know our top 14, top 16 really are all in line, but if you fall back to that of 22nd position, you find that of Alex Light as well as Chimisic. And I gotta say, though, biggest surprise, you see the 13, our season 3 champion of last season, Cedric Hunter. He stuck with these drivers back here with all the rookies as well as Adam Westfield.
Yeah, it's a little off guard there to see him running back in that field, but early in the race, so he's always has a strategy, always a plan. Good driver, fast driver, so I won't be surprised if we see him running towards the front before this thing comes to an end.
Absolutely not, as they're just having their own little battle here, and for all the front runners, they're hoping that there isn't going to be a yellow from somebody out here making a mistake. Zach Hall, that of the 31, currently all the way back in 29th position. Odd to see, the 32 this far back. But the main thing for that of Zach Hall is he did start on pit road. It was a chosen strategy for that of Zach Hall. There was a lot of talk of maybe there's going to be a big one on lap 1. Well, it never really hit. And now drivers, those that went with that strategy was only Zach Hall. Find himself back in 29th position, but luckily has plenty of space. Doesn't look like he'll be at risk of going a lap down.
Yeah, different strategies just get played out here, and sometimes starting towards the back of the field, like I said, if you think the caution could be early, best way to avoid it, don't be around it. So you have to start a little bit farther back, but didn't play out. Now he's got a uphill battle set up for him to try and work his way up front, and try to utilize maybe some pit strategy to make that happen.
Now being caught is the 6th. Zach, he's been just running by his lonesome, lost the draft of that lead pack, and now Cedric Hunter, he wants to lead this group, says, hey, follow me. We'll see how much further ahead we can get and hope that we don't lose too much ground. But again, the stage caution on lap 45, that is so useful for these drivers. They know, hey, we don't need to panic if we're this far back. If anything, we're saving our car just in case something goes crazy up front, which we're going to move up to that 11th place, where drivers are still battling side by side, and it's still chaotic up here, David. There's like you said, there's the cycles that come through, and they're going through another one.
They are going through another one. They felt they've cooled off their tires enough, and now they're going to try and make these passes and use that low line and then try to slide. So ideally on this track here, you want to get that run on that car in front of you on the straightaways, and then as you come into the turns, dive down, get in front of them, carry as much speed as you can into the corner, and then slide up in front of that car.
And of this lead group, one of our biggest drivers that have fallen back, that of Brandon Colley, back to 14th now for himself, as moving forward is the 31 of Thomas Green, who we're seeing, a lot of different rookies coming in that have really surprised us. But David, I know you came in, you're a rookie for this series, stepped away for today's race, but I mean, as a rookie coming into a series where there's 30+ drivers that come in each and every week, how intimidating can that be coming into each race?
Yeah, I have about a year and a half experience in the sim racing here, but like I said, I'm a rookie with this league here, and this is probably the largest field I've ever raced with, and it was very intimidating for me to be around that many cars, and so many fast drivers. So at first it can be really intimidating, but after a few laps and you get to race with these guys and stuff, really good drivers. For me, I utilize that time to try and learn from them.
These drivers giving their apologies. The drivers' line is bumping up and down, but the rookies, that of Thomas Green and Ethan Smith, both running in 12th and 13th, the highest runners of all of our rookies. As you fell back to 22nd position, that's where the real collection of rookies all lie for themselves. But up front, biggest surprise in my eyes, Danny Cochran leading this race, but it's still early. But Jacob Morris, who's in second, this 23, we've seen how aggressive he can be at times. And to win at Auto Club, you might have to be aggressive, as if anyone missed out on last night's race for the Stars and Stripes Xfinity Series when they were racing at Auto Club, of an amazing overtime race where a lot of bump and runs were going on, and you never know, we might see a bump and run happen here at such a large track at Auto Club.
You definitely might, and what you said earlier is definitely definitely true. So you got to be aggressive, but I like to call it cautiously aggressive. You got to be able to choose smartly on this track when you're going to do your moves on the track. So pick their best time. If you're running 3 wides, then obviously you might not be as aggressive during that point. But you definitely have to be aggressive. I think a lot of the aggression you're going to see tonight is going to be when we have newer tires, and then when we're spread out a little bit, like we are right now, and then we're doing single file line. You're gonna really have to be cautious because you got tire wear.
As we see that of Adam Westfield again, we have this second pack of drivers. It's about a group of 6. They're racing with one another, and yet they're getting a little bit of a sense and feel how to continue to be aggressive with one another. But at the same time, this group, they're just racing themselves. I'm wondering if this is, we always talk about how stage 1, you got to take in all the knowledge that you can. What is that first stint? If it goes green all the way, what are your tires looking like? Also, what moves can you make? I would imagine this group of primary rookies, they're getting a sense of how aggressive can we be around one another with being this far back from that lead path.
Yeah, I think that's something else they're taking in too. What they did during that the first start of the race, and how is it playing out so far? So if they fall them back when we do get that stage, and if we rack everybody, they're probably gonna be a little bit more aggressive so they don't fall far back like they have so here at this point. So they're taking all this information in and trying to process it, but knowing that they have the stage coming to an end, and they'll be able to re-rack it and try again.
And a reminder, these drivers are all racing to see who can get that 22nd position. They're one of the furthest packs back from one another from the lead group that, again, is about 14 drivers all in line, and have been listening in on the radio of what the drivers have been talking about with one another. And the whole entire time, we've seen, David, little pockets in the back half of this league group, making some passes, but not a lot of movement in the top 7. They're just staying in line, and that's been the big talking point. Hey, who's going to make that first move this late on and trying to break into that top 5?
Yeah, and then I think there's a lot of what that has to do with is going to be the fact that it's so hard to make a pass when they are in line. And so we can see there is the number 8 there got out of line, went over inside to try and make the pass, and just wasn't able to clear and find a spot to close the pass up. And here he's falling back down. But it's such a run to get off the exits.
I mean, if anything, it just shows the drivers that are aggressive and trying to make passes, usually that means that you're going to be the driver that's moving forward. You're willing to make some aggressive moves, but it's the drivers that have been patient, such as Ryan Bird, Aaron Kralik, as well as Dakota Moniz. Those 3 drivers have just stayed in line on the outside, haven't been really poking their nose out too often, and because of all the drivers that fall back from being freight trained, they're moving forward.
They are, and I think one thing we're seeing too is that so many guys, when we're going to the turn, are running different lines instead of running a single file behind each other, and they're trying to get as much air on their nose to get that car to turn and try and take away some of that tightness.
You see there, all the drivers, about 2.5 lanes are being utilized. Some are all the way going down to the white line. Some are just staying a group higher. Others are going about half a group higher, not wanting to give up too much time on the inside. But again, incredible to see 32 drivers started here tonight. And a big thanks again to all of our amazing sponsors, such as that at ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. If you'd like to go get yourself a game or two with 20% off, use promo code FreakyFast20. Hey, feel what you've been missing from ButtKicker, as well as Makoni Setup Shop. If you want 10% off from getting setups from Makoni Setup Shop, some of the best setups out there. Hey, week 13. It might be a couple of weeks away, but hey, when those new updates kick in, you need to find some of the best setups out there. Makoni Setup Shop will have you covered. If you want to get 10% off from Makoni Setup Shops, use the promo code FFB10 for 10% off. Thank you again to ButtKicker and McConey Setup Shop, sponsors of that Freaking Fast Broadcasting. And we get to watch all the amazing action, hopefully, from those sponsors. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is David Funky Cold Medina. And David, we've been watching these drivers, touched on the fact that we might not see drivers go a lap down. Well, it looks like one driver has been caught. That's Jonathan Pittman, who is now on the inside and going backwards quickly.
Yeah, definitely going backwards quickly. Fortunately for him, we're about 9 laps away from stage, so he might be able to get that lap back if he's able to remain the only car down. You know, it's going to be. Looks like they're going to be able to make it, you know, to the stage with this fuel tank. So you know, that's an interesting fact there of seeing him to be able to go that 45 lap without having to pit. And just kind of watching Nick Crawford earlier, you mentioned that he was one of our biggest movers. He moved up 16 spots, and he did that relatively early. But he's kind of been parked right around the 15th, 16th position, bouncing back and forth. So what that goes to show is, you know, the time for him to make these moves, and maybe for some of the other drivers. Whoa, 4 wide here. One car on the apron there, so that, you know, we're getting close to the end of the stage. These guys are definitely going to be picking up the pace to try and get as many positions as possible.
Yeah, that was the lap car Pittman that just has been hugging the white line, and the lead lap drivers, they were trying to go 2-3 wide on themselves, which then forced it 4 wide. Biggest loser in that altercation, Thomas Green. He was the driver that was on the inside, got clogged up, moving backwards, and he was battling inside of the top 10. Now back to 15th, this 31 machine, and Pittman has now lost ground to this lead pack as Earhart, Green, they're going to try to work with one another. But yeah, I mean, Nick Crawford up 16 positions in 16th for the 11. Some of the other big movers, we noted on that Ethan Smith was following Nick Crawford. He's now made the pass over the 11. But our third biggest mover of the night, it's our previous Auto Club winner from last season, Kyle Rochelle, up to 9th place, is the one. And we'll see what the one can bring us here tonight, as he's got to find some help and with some drivers, but he's kind of hit that part of the race from that Orlando, Florida, is the one, Kyle Rochelle. But the only driver that looks like who's gutsy enough to try to make the pass and go to the inside is Tom Sinchek. And we'll see if the RS Racing teammates, Kyle Rochelle and Tom Sinchek, want to work with one another, make the move, as here comes the one making the move on Dakota Moniz.
39 laps getting completed here, so 5 laps away from the end of the stage, and I think we're going to see business pick up here because everyone's going to want to maximize as many stage points as they can get.
Again, it's only the top 5 that get bonus points. So that's Jacob Morris, Danny Cochran, Ryan Johnson, Vincent Sora, and that last driver, it's Ryan Bird with that of Eric Rollick. As you see, Kyle Rochelle just trying to put his nose right where it just might fit. As a driver that's going backwards after getting loose, it's going to be that Maurice Million in the 44, losing about 5 positions for himself. But David, it is getting scrappy now. All the drivers recognizing, hey, we got to be making the moves now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you, the 42 definitely cut him a break there and didn't run him over, because that was pretty close. I don't even know if you put a sheet of paper in between that, but you definitely cut him a break. And I think if it was later in the race, I don't know if he would have saw the Indy break.
And now it's going to be that of Martin Morales, who's going to be trying to figure out, where do I need to place myself? He's talking over the radio as drivers still side by side. It's going to be Smith extremely low and now losing ground, just showing that inside line, they are getting loose, and it is getting troublesome. Trying to stay on that white line all the way through the corner.
Yeah, the tires are definitely gone. The drivers are screaming for tires, and you can just see it there. Just coming off the exit, you're having to hang on to that wheel a little bit longer to get it to turn, and then that right rear end just wants to come around on you.
And I was talking about Dakota Moniz. They've been trying to dice back and forth as that of Jacob Morris. When Pittman came by just a few laps ago, they actually used that of Morris, used that lap car as a pick to try to get by, and now, there we go. 23, able to get by. Martin Morales just going to stay low, get off the track, and let this lead pack go on by. But that means that there's chances to make some passes. Ryan Bird, he's trying to get back into 5th place. It's Tom Sinchek, who's been slowly, methodically making the move to go forward. It might be a slide job for 5th, but not close enough. Tom Sinchek on the outside, finding the momentum, and now collecting that 5th place position.
Coming to lap 43, now the start of lap 43. And again, I think we're going to see these guys here when we come to the last lap of the stage. They're going to spread out throughout the track and try to take that first spot and gain that stage point win.
Who wants that stage points? Because honestly, when it comes to the playoff times, it could come down to just 1 point, and grabbing this stage point could get you a berth into the playoffs. But currently, it's Jacob Morris, that of Danny Cochran, Brian Johnson, Vincent Sora, Tom Sinchek, your top 5, as you ride on board with the 2. Running in second, just looking back and gain a sense, who will follow Danny Cochran, or will the 2 just feel comfortable staying where he's at, as we're now 2 laps away from seeing who's going to be our top 5 getting those bonus points. At the same time, David, who wants to get mixy here? We have seen times at the end of the stage, drivers getting so aggressive that they'll wreck one another coming to the end. They got to be careful not to wreck one another here.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to get those stage points win, but you don't want to damage your car, going into the final stage and stuff there. So you want to take care of your equipment. So yes, it is important as we see the car diving out on the inside. That is number 28. The question is he going to be able to make that stick?
Brian Johnson to the inside, and he's going to need a little bit of draft help, but he's going to get none of it. Vincent Sora just going to stay in line to the outside, and flashbacks to how we've seen drivers race at super speedways, where one driver might feel like trying to make a move ahead of you, and you're like, I can move with him and maybe we'll move forward, or I can stay on the high line and just blow by that guy that's trying to be aggressive and trying to make a pass. Doesn't work out. We're on the white flag of stage number 1. Only the top 5 get bonus points, and you see our front 4, they're pulling away. It's all on Ryan Bird in the 49 trying to make a pass on the 8 of Tom Sinchek, but it's not looking like he's going to have any momentum or speed to do so, as he stays in line with the 8. Our top 5 stay in line. It's Jacob Morris out of 4, winning stage number 1.
Great run for Jacob up front, and again, hats off to Danny. Starting on the pole, keeping the car running up front. He's got something really good up front there. I don't think he got anything lower than a second place, during this whole first stage run.
Yeah, I think if anything, he might have fallen back to 3rd at one moment, but he has just been floating in our top 3, which if you have a driver that can float and stay up front, that is a fast car, and he proved it with getting the pole position, that of being Danny Cochran. Well, stage 1 comes to a close. Your top 5 getting bonus points. That's going to be Jacob Morris, Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, Brian Johnson, and as well, Tom Sinchek, your top 5. As the cars are racing to get to the pace car, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we get to see how the rest of this race goes and where drivers lie after pit road. Thanks for joining us. We'll be right back in just a few.
to be the best. You can't settle.
Freaky Fast Broadcasting is presented by ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. And Baconi Setup Shop. It's our setups, but they're your victories. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us back for the NAIS Track Racer Cup Series. It's race number 3 at the Auto Club 240 at Auto Club in Fontana. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is David Funky Cole Medina. And David, it has been a wild race so far here tonight. But first, I also got to give a big thanks to our producer, that of Robert Moyer Jr., running all the cameras, getting the graphics set up. Big thanks to Robert for making sure our streams and you get to capture all the amazing racing action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But David, we're about to go green. It's gonna get funky up front.
It's going to get funky again, and if you thought the first part of the race was interesting, well, grab your popcorn, grab your drink, because we're getting ready to watch these guys go at it one more time.
Drivers had damage they had to get repaired. Pace truck is off. About 24th on back. All had to get repairs done. We'll see how well those repairs help them move forward. But it's going to be Jacob Moore, City Cochran, your front two as we are green once again to finish out the Auto Club 240 as we race down into turn number 1. We're side by side, tandem drafting practically into turn number 1. So front 4 in line. We're expecting that's not going to stay for very long.
Yeah, exactly. Again, we saw Nick Crawford, move up 16, 17 spots early in the race, make up those positions. I think maybe some guys might have seen that and try to do the same thing and gain as many positions as they can while they got the tires to do so.
Here comes Adam Thompson, check in the gate. He's the one who's been willing to go to the inside, and there he goes like a rocket ship to the 8, finding the speed, and he's gone. Finally having the grip to make the inside work, and Sinchek with a giant send. He goes up to the lead, but it might be too big of a lead. He's got 3 car lengths ahead of the pack behind him. And here they come, David.
Here they come. Yeah, they're going to come up to him pretty quick. He's going to be looking in the mirror to figure out what line to go with because, again, the draft does have an impact here. But, yeah, these guys, you're still seeing them 3 wide coming out of the turn here. So, again, all these guys are going to be really aggressive right now, get all they can, and save themselves up for when they do get single filed and save some tires, going towards the last part of the race. But I think these guys here, they have had a chance to take a look at their tires, see if maybe they weren't aggressive enough, and give an opportunity to be more aggressive on the start, or if they were too aggressive, maybe back down a little bit to save some tires. We have some contact.
More contact going to be made, and there's a caution wreck in the back. It's going to be Dakota Moniz in the 5, spun around, and they're more spinning. Thomas Green in 31 as well.
Oh man, unfortunately, some of you definitely did want to see a few cars here, sitting sideways on the track. Unfortunate, some damage here late in the run. Well, about maybe not quite mid race of the race, but got to be able to take care of your car. So a lot of these drivers just didn't want to have that happen. As we see the 31 there, I think he's got some damage there on the front, if I'm not mistaken, front right, front left.
Yeah, you're going to see here already. Dakota Moniz going to be loose, coming back on the surface, and cars sliding up. Walterman and Green make the initial contact. They bounce once again, and then there goes the 31. And the 6, Zach Comella, going to be just an innocent victim. 6 gets spun around. There's that front end damage they were talking about for that of Thomas Green. And the 6 comes sliding and luckily locked down the brakes. So it's only that side panel damage going to the 6. No other damage given to the debuting driver of the 6 of Zach Comella. Going to be just now coming in, get a little bit of damage repairs, and get back out there.
Yep, we're going to be on the caution here, and we're going to go ahead and do that freaky fast re-rack them, restack them, and watch this happen all over again.
Ooh.
So again, the intensity level is going to pick up because this is the last stage. So these guys are going to be racing really hard to try and get those positions.
And you saw coming out of the corner, contact between the 0-1 and the 5. That's what got him around. And David, coming out of these corners, I mean, how difficult is it to just hold on to the car, let alone getting bumped by someone?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is because, we've already touched on it a couple of times. Not a whole lot of banking, so these cars, especially on fresh tires, will be a little bit on the loose side. Especially on exit, I found that the cars were a little bit loose on the exit there. So you get a car anywhere around you, and it just exasperates the whole deal. And then once it starts going around, it's difficult to catch.
Well, a lot of drivers coming in, either topping off with fuel or getting damaged repairs for themselves. Drivers only having 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with. Most of the field did use a set there at the stage break, so only 3 more pit roads to work with. As you see on the top of the board, just seeing the weather and what it's like. David, ambient temperature only 70 degrees, a lot of wind there, 9 miles per hour. Partly cloudy, but the big factor we always look at, it's on that top right, that track temp, 104 degrees.
Yeah, exactly. It's cool air temperature, but that 104, again, a track that doesn't have much banking just adds to that lack of grip on the track. And then you throw the 49% humidity on top of it as well, that little bit of moisture sitting on top of the track, and add all that together, stir it all together, and you get a track that makes it a little bit loose there for you, and makes car handling a challenge.
And you also could see the time was not moving. This is a stable time. There's no movement. So this track is just going to be hit by the sun all race long. So we'll see if the temperature decides to raise a degree or more, or if it even goes down with a lot of yellows that come out. But second yellow of the day, first on track incident to bring out a yellow. And David, usually when we're at short tracks, it's always, cautions breed cautions, but hey, we might be able to throw it even here at Auto Club just with the factor of the tire wear and how everyone just feels like a hero with fresh tires underneath them.
Yeah, exactly. You get that hero syndrome, and think you can make it stick, and your car has other thoughts. So hopefully it's our last caution, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Now, we're hoping that everything stays steady. As you can see, the pace truck lights are off. Your top five going to be that of Tom Sedgwick, Danny Cochran, Brian Johnson, Jacob Morris, and Vincent Sora. But in sixth place, up 14 positions, is Kyle Rochelle in sixth. Ryan Bird has fallen a couple of positions back. And our second biggest of all the movers, tied with that of Ryan Lewis. It's that of Kyle Rochelle. We'll see how many more positions the one can gain, as he is our reigning Auto Club winner from last season. See if he can find a little bit more speed as Barney's got the flag up, getting ready to wave it. Pace truck's off. Front two, just wait for the green flag, and they are off. We are green, and Tom Senchek already moving up a lane. We're now going to be in front of the two of Danny Cochran. We'll see. Looks like everyone trying to get that high line early. It's Brian Johnson who's stuck to the inside.
Yeah, our leader did jump right up to the front early, so we know exactly what line he prefers and where he wants to run. And I think he does that so he can make sure he stays in the draft, has the draft behind him. But yeah, we're going to see these guys now. Keep working with. They're going to be another pit stop and stuff like that coming down the line. But the tires cooled off, back down a little bit. They're going to try and make all they can to cool the tires, keep back up. You can see here three wide coming across and coming out of turn 4.
Yeah, I mean, they're making all the big moves. A huge jump going to the inside. That's Nick Crawford that just decided, you know what, we're going to the apron, as well as you see other drivers trying to make their big moves forward. The 41 of Ryan Lewis, our biggest mover of all the rookies. He's cracked the top 10, now trying to get up to 8th, but the 41, this is really the best time to go to the inside, make these big, bold moves, but it's the straightaway where he's losing all that time, and to see all the shuffling behind him. He's not getting true draft help for himself, as here comes the 00, who actually brushed into the wall. Ethan Smith on that third lane with that Frolic.
I think what we're seeing on some of these guys too, especially coming off the turn 4, running close to the wall, is that coming on the exit of turn 4, you get too close to that wall, it'll actually take some of that nose off, the air off the tail there, and kick your car out a little bit. So a couple of guys saved already.
Oh, Thomas Walter and Gilmillion made contact on the entry of the corner and somehow didn't spin each other out. I thought it was going to happen for sure. The 44 just trying to find the speed that they can, but it is still side by side. More contact, the 6 as well. It's the 30 going to be making contact. Oh, there's not enough space out here, even with it being 5 wide, willing to be made.
I think these guys are definitely putting on how important it is to get as many laps or many positions as possible at the start of the race. But I definitely wouldn't have guessed it would have been this aggressive this early. But we got a long ways to go in this race, but these guys are definitely putting on a show here tonight.
Absolutely, and as we're still getting to see the middle of the pack, you see the Home Depot 20. That is actually Max Boner, who's usually running the 51. A little bit of a graphics error came into today's race for that 51 machine. So, hey, running a different scheme, but so is most of the field. This is Domillion as well as Koczynski going to be working with one another, and the 30, hoping that he doesn't make any more contact with the 44 moving forward.
Early in the race, we were talking about Nick Crawford moving up, 16 positions. His aggression that he showed earlier on. Now he's up 21 positions, up to the 11th spot.
Biggest surprises so far, Category 5 drivers that dominated last season. That of Brandon Colley back in 30th, and Zach Hall back in 31st position. As oh no, contact was going to be made. The 6, the 21, and others in the middle of the pack spun around, and our third yellow of the day strikes again.
Oh my, oh my, oh my! I tell you, there was some other close ones. The 24 just missed it as well, so he did a really good job avoiding that.
This all started with contact to the 6 from James Loveland. Earlier than this, contact was made, and at this point, the 6 is just trying to hold on, and it's so difficult to do so. With the entry of turn 1, David, we touched on contact on the entry of the corners and exits. Entry of the corner might be more difficult than the exit of the corner.
Yeah, absolutely. You're already changing the balance of the car going into the corner, and then when somebody hits that rear end of yours, it just really, really makes it difficult to hang on to that car. Did a good job hanging on to it for as long as he did, but it's an uphill battle.
Hey, I mean, Zach Camella, what a debut. Trying to hold on, still trying to hold on, and then finally gets collected with that of Jenks coming in. And I mean, at that point, I mean, he did everything he could, practically had it saved. But when they're already 3 wide behind you, there's not much else you can do.
Yeah, I think if we would have had a few more laps and we were a little bit, single filed out, if the same thing would have happened, he probably would have definitely saved that. Unfortunately, he did a great job in straightening it out, had to blow up and get down, towards the inside line and just got collected by another car.
Well, all the chaos was in the middle of the field, and David, what we get to do? Another caution. We get to cool down these tires again. We get to try this all over again, and this is giving us a little bit of a similar sense of what last season was like. There were a lot of cautions that came out last season at Auto Club when they were under the lights. We're now under the baking sun, and drivers are still, a lot of contact's been made, but right now our front about 10 have been staying pretty comfortable with one another. Not too much mixy going on, but it's been about 13th on back, 2-3 wide at all times at the start of these restarts.
Yeah, these restarts have been fantastic to watch, and some aggressive, driving and just some great racing. But I tell you, who's going to probably want to continue to see, us re-racking the field is going to be that of Ryan Lewis and Nick Crawford, because every time we go back and do a restart, they're picking up positions. So, we keep this going along, we will see them up front in the top 5.
Oh, absolutely. Ryan Lewis currently up 22 positions from where he qualified. Our biggest, our most furthest up of all the rookies so far. Nick Crawford up 23 positions from where he qualified in 9th place. So, hey, we're seeing 2 drivers already up 20 positions from where they qualified. This is incredible to see, as Nick Crawford decided not to even qualify and qualified, and he got placed in 32nd position. As Ryan Lewis, he did qualify, but he got 29th. But it's been showing, hey, race pace and qualifying pace, 2 very different things.
Yeah, definitely. You're going to see guys that just they struggle in qualifying, but once you get them in the race and they go to race pace and they go on the rest of their race setups, they just come alive, and that's what we're seeing. Today I think with Ryan, he's just done a fantastic job. He hasn't, wasn't able to get the best qualifying position, but you put him in the race, and he's just a different driver behind that wheel.
Absolutely. Well, we're past halfway, and David, I mean, that first half was so different than I think what we're going to see for the second half. As a lot of these drivers, I mean, we saw a very conservative, first half of this race in the first stage. Drivers just willing to, stay calm in that first stage. But ever since then, it has been madness, and I'm pretty sure it's going to continue on.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you, Sam. We're going to be in for a few more exciting calls up here, with these restarts and stuff, and just a lot of side-by-side racing, guys, again, jogging for positions. And we're going to see different strategies, too, as we had the car
coming into pit road, and probably just topped off on fuel. But we haven't really talked too much about the pit strategies. But these guys they're going to have to make a couple of pit stops before we get to the end. And that's probably gonna change things up as well. This pit road really isn't that difficult to get on, but again, it opens that door if you're pitting on the green for mistakes to happen.
Up front, it's going to be Thompson, Jack, Brian Johnson, Danny Cochran, Jacob Morris, and Vincent Sword, the drivers that came into pit road. 27th on back, being led by that of Brandon Colley, and most of the drivers just coming in to top off with fuel as well as get damage repairs for themselves. Pace truck is off. Thompson, Jack, just waiting for whenever he wants to start going in the 8, and that is now. We are green once again for the Auto Club 240 here at Auto Club in Fontana, and already seeing some drivers dice it, trying to get to that outside lane. Everyone feels comfortable up there, but it's to the inside. It's Brian Johnson going to be doing a little bit of a deaky move, going up high. We'll see if he can get the momentum through the center of the corner, coming out at number 2.
Man, I tell you what a great start to this green flag here. These guys, like you said, see them jockeying for position, but we're still seeing a few guys trying to make, while the tires cooled off, trying to gain some more positions here, going to the inside lane. And we'll keep an eye on that number 2 as they go 3 wide here.
It's going to be 2, 3. Here comes contact with the 1, as well as Danny Cochran. Vincent Sword going to be in line behind them. Still, Nate Crawford, that of Ethan Smith, as well as Thomas Walter, all scattering. It's early in the restart. You got to gain every position that you can. Up front in the top 5, they're scattering, and for whoever's going to be in the top 10. You see some drivers that will be able to make some moves forward. Cedric Hunter, driver we noted on, was battling back in 22nd position during stage 1. He's now up to 12.
Yeah, we saw there with Nick Crawford just making moves again after that restart. So these guys want to keep that in the back of their minds. There is that he is loving these restarts, these cautions and stuff, because it's giving him an opportunity to find that opening and put that car in there. You talked about it earlier, being aggressive. Nick Crawford is being aggressive tonight and making it work.
And you see the red and black, that being the Trans Am of James Tremmel. And Tremmel, this is an amazing run for him. At one moment was in 5th place, but since they've been caught up by Nick Crawford's group, starting to fall back and just running a little bit, about a groove higher than really wants to be. But you can see in his mirror and you can see in front of him, he's got to pick and choose where he wants to lie, but it is madness all over.
Madness all over, and what a run right there. It's going into the corner. Took it all the way down the white line and picked up the position, but we're going to see if he's going to be able to hang on, and maybe nope, that's going to be good. He's going to lose that position right back, so wasn't able to find an opening there to make it stick.
Could not find an opening to fit on the outside lane as he saw the speed he gained on the entry, and he's going to try to send it once again to the inside, not gaining as much ground, but he's got to find a spot to move back up. Otherwise, that outside line just completely trounces on all the drivers that are on the inside. They just don't have the draft as finding space. No, they don't. Once it clear, contact going to be made. Ryan Bird, that changed Tremmel. They hold on, though, but that could have been a big one, and there they are, flipping behind.
Big accident there as we saw a car go up in the air.
Oh, it's Thomas Green.
Hard impact there as we see this car here that kind of looks like a modified now, but we'll probably see this on the replay here, but what an impact there.
Kozinski's, you're going to see a contact going to be made initially there with Go Million, and then Crawley comes down, clips the 30, and the 31 goes for a massive ride up in the air, up and over. And just like that, Westfield involved with it. Tyler Dengler trying to slow down, couldn't find space for the 22. And then coming in late, you see that of Colley. Hard on the brakes, hoping the 31 would lock him up, but never did. And contact for the 42.
I mean, I've been in this position before, and I can tell you how frustrating it is. You're trying to figure out where to go when you have cars going and spinning in front of you, and you think, okay, he's going to slide down, and next thing you know, he doesn't. He actually slides forward, and you got nowhere to go. You can't slow the car down fast enough, so it's just heartbreaking for him.
And now it's a question of who is going to have a good run, because for that of Thomas Green, our winner from Atlanta last week, does not have a fast repair. this car that he is running currently is what he needs to repair manually under pit road. This could be anywhere from 20 to 30 minutes repair that it looks like for that 31 team. And plenty of other drivers have to be careful of how much damage do they have and do they put on, as about 8 to 12 drivers into pit road currently.
A lot of guys coming down pit road here, getting tires, getting fuel. So, again, keeping an eye on Nick Crawford because he's been just doing a fantastic job on every restart of gaining position. So I'm really going to be interested to keep an eye on him and see what's he do now on this next restart. Is he able to continue that momentum and working his way up to the front? But yeah, there's got to be some frustrated drivers here. They got caught up in that wreck. Some of them. Looks like some guys were just trying to, when that incident happened, they were just trying to fight for the same real estate and made a little bit of contact, and then from there, anybody just let off the throttle a little bit, especially in this draft. It's just so easy to catch that back bumper.
Interesting thing though, looking at the drivers that all came in, primarily about 90% of the drivers that came in were all drivers that were involved in that massive wreck. One driver though that was inside of the top 15 that was not involved in that wreck did come into pit road. Ryan Lewis, the 41, one of our biggest movers, our biggest rookie driver that moved up in positions. He's back in 24th position for himself. He's going to be trying to do a good job cutting his way through with himself with 4 fresh tires compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, and that's going to give him an advantage, and so he's just going to have to, have in the back of his mind that he is going to be quicker than some guys. So that closing speed, he's going to have to manage that. So it'll be interesting to see, how he's able to work his way back up the field.
Well, with the older tires, we've seen that a lot of the field wants to move up about a groove, half a groove higher than that white line. So if the 41 finds that space, we know fresh tires, you can stick right on that white line and have way more speed than everyone else because of the extra grip that you have on. As we are now getting these drivers stacked up and ready to go. It's Tom Sidchak, that of Brian Johnson, Danny Cochran, Jacob Morris, as well as Vincent Soar, going to be your top 5. We saw in the first stage, drivers can go 45 laps without needing to make their first pit stop. We'll see if they, how much further these drivers want to go, because we're about halfway into this stint, and we've had plenty of cautions, 3 in total, for these drivers to pace, save fuel, and they might be able to stretch it out, maybe to lap 90, 95, could be their window they're looking for.
Yeah, it definitely could be, and that's something we haven't had to talk too much about. It's going to be, the pit strategy. So with these cars up in the front, not pitting here, and some cars towards the back that did pit, some of that pit strategy is not going to come in play for later on in the race.
Well, up front, Tom Sidchak, Brian Johnson, side by side, getting ready to go green, as seeing some of the drivers further back, what it's like to be back here on a restart. You're just waiting for the driver in front of you to take off, and have to be patient of when you want to go. And I mean, David, this is one thing, just the intensity, the anxiety builds up, but then you finally get to take off and you hope you don't miss a shift.
Yeah, definitely don't want to miss a shift. You'll definitely get freight train. It looks like these guys got a good start here as we get rolling and going into turn 1.
Into turn 1, it's going to be that of Tom Sidchak and others as we're on board with that of Dylan Walterman, getting his perspective of what it's like being so far back in the field, as he's all the way back in 23rd position, and it just looks like a sea of drivers that it looks almost impossible to get all the way past all of them.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging when you're sitting back there figuring out, okay, how am I going to work my way up here? Especially when these guys start getting single file out on as we run some more laps and stuff. But we still got a good decent ways to go. So I think that the guys just kind of need to take a deep breath here, which it looks like they're doing, as we see a long line of single files. But just get some laps in here and let it get spread out a little bit, and then work your strategy to try and pick cars off one at a time.
Yeah, I think everyone's recognizing, hey, we had a decent green flag run. It's going to be difficult to make any types of passes moving forward, so everyone's in line, and they're going to be running the higher line as Danny Cochran going to be back in 4th position, and you see Kyle Rochelle in 7th, and Sora in 6th, and Jacob Morris is going to be in 5th place. These are drivers that were battling for that of Morris he was battling for the lead, actually won stage 1. So we'll see if the 23 can fight his way forward. But the driver to watch out for that is going to be on the inside, trying to gain all the time that he can. It's going to be the 41 of Ryan Lewis, back in 20th position. But it looks like he's being stalled out by the drivers that are around him.
Yeah, that is the challenge. You might have pressure tires and stuff, but these other guys that don't, they're racing against guys that are on the same older tires, and so they're going to be racing side by side. He could end up being 3 wide and not have the draft help he needs to complete the pass.
As we get to see what the 41 goals are moving forward, currently in 19th position, catching up to that of James Loveland, and everyone's running that higher line, expecting the 41 just to go where everyone isn't with fresher tires. And 20 lap fresher tires, I mean, that seems like a massive advantage, especially at a track that is so large like Auto Club.
Yeah, definitely. Grip Price, we mentioned it earlier about feeling like a hero. If anybody feels like a hero right now, it's that 41 with those fresh tires and stuff. So we'll keep an eye and see how he's able to move towards the front there. But keeping an eye at our leaders here with Tom and Brian up there. Tom running a 41.79, and now Thomas Walter running a 41.80. So those guys are running real close and see side-by-side battle for second place.
Yeah, Thomas Walter almost absolutely door-banging the 28 of Brian Johnson, and Johnson doing his best to hold on as Danny Cocker going to be staying on the high line as well. And I talked about alliances and working and trying to find people that you want to work with besides just your teammates. It's been really interesting to see. There seems to be certain drivers that the field just unanimously we are working with, and others where it's like, maybe I'll take the advantage on this side.
Yeah, some of these drivers are, we said a little bit of contact there going into the corner with Danny there, but he was able to hang on to it. But sometimes when you're racing and stuff and you get to the front, if you know that there's a dominant driver up front, you might try and hang him out to dry, and then the drivers behind you do the same thing. You give yourself a better chance of picking up a win at the end.
Where and when do you make your final pit stop? As you see the 31 of Thomas Green, you note on it looking like a modified, absolutely destroyed after our last caution where the 31 went flipping. Green's just going to have to limp this thing around as Green comes in second in points, and his teammate, that of Jared Talmadge, did not show here tonight. So that lead position in points is wide open for someone to take it. Could be Thomas Green, but because he was involved in this incident, couldn't be. The next driver that's in line, Thompson check, third in points, looked like he was he was the most dominant car on that of 2 weeks ago, of that Atlanta. Came up short with finishing third place to that of Jarrett Talmadge and also Thomas Green. It looks like today might be the day, David, where the 8 can get some redemption, but it's still a little bit too early to make that call, especially with knowing there's still one more pit stop to go.
Yeah, with all the excitement we've seen already and the cautions and the side-by-side racing and 3 wide, I definitely think it's a little bit too early, but what a great run for him to be running up front there.
Oh, absolutely. As you see that Thompson check up front, he's got Brian Johnson, who's in second, and on the whole entire looking at it, I mean, practically our whole entire lead pack all in line. This true lead group is only our top 10 that are in with one another, and then it's about 8/10 back where you find that of Ethan Smith, who's been leading a lot of drivers that are side by side, but Smith right now just trying to hope that the drivers behind him stay in line, but the more that they stay side by side, that's hurting them. David, you could touch a little bit more on side drafting for these drivers.
Yeah, so these side drafts, it doesn't make your car faster. What it does is just pushes that air into the rear panel there, as we see the 25 there get a little bit close to the wall and push the 5 down to the inside. But that air will just slow down that car on the inside lane or outside lane, depending, and then it allows you to carry a little more speed than that car. But then if the outside car does it right back to the inside car, you're basically slowing each other down and losing more time to the front.
Yeah, don't want to be losing ground at all. And to give note, Thomas Green did go out and he did his best to go run a couple of laps with the heavy damage. Has decided it's just not enough. Not enough speed there's left in the 31. He has parked it for the day. It's going to be our first DNF. Thomas Green, our winner from Atlanta, Luckily, he's got that win at Atlanta, so he's still locked into the playoffs. But you do not want your momentum to make this complete shift immediately after a win.
Yeah, disappointing finish for him, I'm sure. It definitely didn't play out the way he wanted it to. But I give him credit for coming back out on the field and running a few more laps and not just parking it as soon as the accident happened. So hats off to him going out on the track and running some more laps. And bringing up Nick Crawford again, we've been talking about him. He's one of our biggest movers here we have on the track, and up 26 positions, running in sixth spot right now. So I don't think he's done yet, especially if we have any more cautions. I mean, he's just done a great job all race long, taking advantage of those opportunities when we have those cautions come out.
Oh, absolutely. Got to pick and choose when you want to make those moves going forward as we continue to watch and see the battling for 20th position as Dakota Moniz, the 5. We noted on how well he was running early in the race, and it's practically once we get past halfway that whole entire luck just changes and it struck again. Dakota Moniz, that damage that he got from being bounced around about 3 laps ago, it is influencing the 5, but he's found a little bit of a cushion and a spot on the outside in 18th place. But a lot of ground to be made, as well as you're seeing everyone else picking and choosing on where they want to lie. And I think the biggest surprise, Ryan Lewis, he has been stalled out and not able to move any further higher. I mean, yes, he's trying, but a lot of the drivers that he's around, he's already passed about 2 times before. Then he falls back, gets passed, then makes the pass again. He continues to just play a little bit of do-si-do going back and forth.
Yeah, we saw that earlier with Nick Crawford. We got up to about the 15th spot. He kind of got parked there. He couldn't gain and couldn't move forward. And then through cautions, we're able to move up front. So maybe we'll see that with him as well, and get some cool air on his tires, cool down the temp on the tires, and be able to work his way back up to the front. But Thomas Walter too, he's up 21 positions, running in 3rd spot. So he's having a great run already.
Now we're starting to see further back. You see the 42. That is Brandon Colley at 42. He fell all the way back to 30th position and now is up to 21st, trying to make a resurgence back, as well as Adam Westfield. Both drivers that were involved in that last wreck trying to get into the top 20 and maybe into the top 15 before this time that drivers come into pit road, which we are about 10 to about 12 laps away from seeing the potential final pit stop of the night.
And it could be our first pit stop under green. So, how will that shake up this race here? Will it stretch out some of these drivers a little bit more? Will we see maybe some guys having issues coming on the pit road? So, still a lot to play out here with the remaining laps we have.
Oh, absolutely. And, if you look back, if you were watching here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting last night, saw a very long green flag run early on for the Stars and Stripes Xfinity Series, and then the final about 40% of the race was just a lot of cautions that got us into hard racing for these drivers. And gotta say, it's been incredible to watch these drivers here at Auto Club putting on a show, and they have been doing a great job so far as Morris trying to move forward.
Yeah, these guys have done a fantastic job. This track, as we mentioned, is a difficult, challenging track for a driver, and it changes. From when you're running on fresh tires to racing on tires that are worn. And these guys doing a good job, especially right now, just single filed out and really trying to set up their passes, getting that run on the straightaways, and then trying to make the pass going into the turns.
As we see the drivers trying to gain everything they can. We're on lap 84 of 120 green flag pit stops. Based on the fuel mileage that they can go, potentially pit stops in the next 10 laps. They're planning on cutting the stint in half since the last yellow, but they're planning on pushing their fuel to the max. 15 laps away. And up front, there's still the different cycles that they go through. It's going to be a little bit more risky, at least in the middle of the pack, and drivers potentially, as you see that of Danny Cochran, trying to move forward and gain everything that they can, but a little bit of a defensive move there from Brian Johnson, just coming down a half a groove, stalling out the 2.
Yeah, definitely took away his line there, and did a little bit of side drafting and take some of that air off of him as well. And now able to duck right behind here on the 57 car.
Window is open for pit road in the 13 over the radio. Sounding like we're going to be seeing drivers already hitting pit road this time by, and there goes Cedric Hunter into pit road for himself.
First car in the pit road, so we'll see how he comes out and what kind of ground he's able to make. But now it's how long do these leaders stay out now that we have our first car coming down pit road.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Cedric Hunter is banking on the most of the field to stay out longer than that a Cedric Hunter would enjoy. Maybe staying out for 5 to 10 extra laps could help this 13 to build up a big enough lead. But I think the biggest issue for that of Cedric Hunter came in by himself. No teammates around because his teammates all have been struggling here tonight.
Oh, that's a great point, and that could definitely have a negative effect on him. But we'll see how it all plays out for him. But definitely a challenge, definitely something to keep an eye on.
As more drivers coming into pit road, Sean Sutton's going to be the next driver to hit his pit box for the 94, but everyone up front, still not a large group coming into pit road. We've only seen just a couple of drivers by themselves coming in. David, I mean, we know that pit road can be very difficult at times, especially here at Auto Club. But man, how difficult can it be coming in with 5 to 10 other drivers coming in together?
Yeah, I mean, it's all by yourself. It's worn tires. It could be a handful. You throw the challenge of adding 5-10 more cars, and then trying to slow down and get on pit lane, and some will trying to gain some time by going a little bit further in, and so you'll see some cars maybe going side by side going to pit roads. Definitely challenging.
Also, you got to be thinking, if you're going to be coming into pit road and there's a driver underneath you and you haven't communicated that could be an issue of once you see this pit cycle fully going to full swing of where you want to place yourself, is still seeing the middle of the pack drivers picking and choosing on where they want to run currently. But pit road is now open and you can make it from here to the end of the race. So drivers that have come into pit road, they're good to move on. But it's with a difficult call of, do you want to undercut, hit right in the middle, or try to go until the fuel runs out? That has always been, with the NAIS, the Cup Series, I mean, through Season 2 and Season 3, that's always been the interesting call. Which one is the right move? Stay out as long as possible, undercut, or just wait in the middle?
Yeah, and we kind of talked about that a little bit earlier in the race, was that, we haven't yet seen the pit strategies really play out a whole lot because of the cautions, but now we will be able to see that. So yeah, now the strategies of the different drivers in the lead pack or mid pack, how do you play it out? Like you said, do you go for the under pit and pit a little bit earlier and see if you can't gain a few positions, doing it that way? So yeah, we're going to be, kind of be tuned in to see what do these guys play out, how does it work out for them towards the end, and then who ends up getting the win out of it, because it could change things up.
First group to come in, it's a pack of 3. It's going to be that of Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, and Jacob Morris all coming in together. And there was almost calamity on entry for the teammates. Vincent Sora locked up the brakes, got sideways, but luckily straightened himself out before coming across the commitment cone. So 15, big scare, slowed down the team a little bit, but luckily he came in with a group. That's the biggest factor for that team.
Yeah, it looks like we had, I think it was the number 2 there that came in the pit road. Slid into his pit stop a little bit, had to back up, so it cost him a little bit of time on pit road.
Now it's going to be Loveland and Earhart, more teammates coming in together. Their camera is just dealing with the wind of the pack driving by, unsettling it, and now get to see drivers into pit road, but it is certainly drivers. The wind is crazy, even for the camera crew.
It's either the wind or California's having an earthquake, one of the two, but good job of recovering by our cameraman out there as we see the 25 getting the left side tires.
Honestly, you would never know when an earthquake's going to hit, so it could have been, as you see drivers now leaving. And the big question, who will make a mistake? Because it's been every single time there's been a green flag pit stop, at least one driver has been caught speeding, and you're hoping it's not you. For all the drivers that have already come in, they're like, okay, big thing, don't want to see this race have a yellow. A lot of drivers already caught up a 1 lap down. Your strategy when you're undercutting is to hope that this race goes green so you can get a net gain. Might not be the winning move, but at least gaining positions over the drivers you're around.
Yeah, exactly right. It might not be the winning move, but it definitely can help you pick up a few spots. And if you're running towards the mid pack and stuff, you're taking everything you can and use every advantage you have to do so. So we see these guys here running 3 wide. This traffic's starting to pick up a little bit as we get new tires mixed in with old tires.
Next pod of drivers that are coming into pit road going to be that of Ethan Smith, Max Foner, as well as Dakota Moniz. Those 3 drivers coming in as a group. And up front, still Thompson Sinchak, as well as Brian Johnson and others. And now our leaders, they got to be careful because they do have drivers that just came in pit road, fresh tires, hitting Nixie up front is got the 23 trying to get by our leaders, and Sinchak, he's trying to make sure that he doesn't get ran over by the drivers with fresher tires.
Yeah, that's the mix-up we're seeing here, and these drivers with the fresher tires get a run on the cars with the older tires, and get close to that rear end, and take some of that air off there. It could upset the cars with the older tires on there. So it's a real dangerous time to kind of watch right now. These guys are having to make their way around them, but the advantage they do have is that they can run the lower line, and the cars with the older tires cannot. So during the draft, here, not that bad, and then when it comes to the corner, they can go towards the inside and have a much clearer path.
David, it's the money stop. I touched on it. We've seen drivers make mistakes, and that driver here for this stint, Ethan Smith, caught speeding for the 00. He is currently a lap down, but he's just getting out of pit road. Going to be going now 2 laps down for the 00. As Tom Sinchak, our leader, he's in pit road getting service done, and a lot more drivers up front making the call. Hey, we're coming into pit road this time by.
Yeah, I think we're going to see the rest of our leaders start coming in. Like you said, they can't hang out there too much longer. There's a good almost 2-second difference on tires between new tires and war tires, so they got to come. And that's the interesting part too is you got the guys in the new tires running the inside lane. Well, the guys with the old tires, they're going to have to get down to the inside lane to get to pit road.
That's what I was talking about. Hey, you can be trapped on the outside and you go a lap longer than what you wanted. And if you're caught running out of fuel at the halfway point of this track, you might not be able to even coast to pit road, which could end your race dramatically. As looking at all the drivers that have pitted so far, got 12 drivers still needing to come into pit road. The next one in is going to be that of Dylan Walterman. It's back going for himself.
You mentioned earlier about the pit road penalty there for Ethan, and that's just unfortunate for him. He had a really good run, early in this race here. I think he was up, 14, 15 spots, so was doing a fantastic job, and just had that pit road, mistake there. So I'm sure that that's got to be really frustrating.
Yeah, I mean, all the drivers are starting to feel the intensity over the radio. Drivers are recognizing it's 25 laps to go. You cannot make a mistake at this point, especially now, because what's interesting, David, with the more drivers that stay out, I mean, this race, now the question is, if you stay out this long, will you have enough time to even catch and run up to the drivers that have already pitted?
Yeah, there's definitely a thing about, staying out too long. I understand the strategy of staying out as long as you can, maybe hope for a caution and catching guys a lap down. But yes, there is such a thing as staying out too long and not having enough time to let your tires do what they can do.
See Brian Johnson, yes, he's just being passed by lap cars. This is not him racing for position. Drivers for position is actually the black one. That's now 2 cars behind the 28, but you're seeing lap traffic battling with one another. Those drivers are racing for position. That's why they're racing so aggressive with one another. At the same time, it is dangerous, especially with the leader being so close to all this carnage in front of him.
Yeah, absolutely dangerous and challenging. And if you're a driver, you're nervous as all can be, knowing that you're racing around guys with new tires. They're going to have the ability to maneuver their car a lot better than you are. But I am a little bit surprised that Nick Crawford hasn't pitted yet. I would have figured he would have been, somebody that pitted earlier, since he's moved up so much, to try to use that strategy to kind of leapfrog in front of the leaders. But he's got a different strategy going on, and maybe it works out for him. We'll find out here in another 22 laps.
Now, David, we saw all the drivers able to save enough fuel to make it all the way through our stage 1 break, which was a 45 lap run to the start of lap 46. We know for sure our front 3, Brian Johnson, Kyle that of Kyle Rochelle and Nick Crawford. Those three drivers have to come into pit road. But for Adam Westfield, Brandon Colley, those drivers all came in pit road on that last yellow. They could be potentially 3 laps shy. And now the question is, can they save enough fuel, or will they be ran down by the drivers that have already pitted? That first car going to be Cedric Hunter, who's back in 12th position, but he's practically about 20 seconds away, 25 seconds away from the drivers that are trying to stretch their fuel.
That's a great question there, Sam, as to whether they can stretch their fuel out. I think the challenging part for Adam is that he doesn't have the draft help. He's the car more towards the front, so it's going to make it even more challenging to try and save fuel. If you're running behind somebody, then you get to stretch that fuel out a little bit longer. But yeah, we'll find out here as to whether or not these guys did a good enough job earlier in the draft and the race to be able to save that additional fuel they need.
Frolics into pit road, still waiting for our front three to come in. That of Brian Johnson, Kyle Rochelle, Nick Crawford. They've been out there again. They've stayed out through all of the pace and all the cautions that were coming out for these drivers. So they've been able to save out on this run for over 50 laps of green flag racing for the 28th, the 1, and the 11th. So this kind of makes things a little bit more interesting for Westfield, Colley, Gomillion, Zach Hall. They got to save fuel, but you're seeing it. They're also trying to figure out how to pass one another to possibly be that lead car that could maybe win this race.
Yeah, I think it just seems like a tall stretch to make it. But I could be wrong, and maybe that's why I'm up here in the booth. I'm not on the track tonight. But it would be impressive if they are able to stretch that out. But, if they don't, the only thing I can think of is maybe they're banking on a late caution to be able to come down pit road and gain their fuel and tires in. But it's going to be interesting to see how all these different strategies shake out here as we got 19 laps to go.
Absolutely. Just got word that the 11 going to be trying to make the sign to come into pit road. The is Nick Crawford, the driver we've been noting on throughout the night, one of our biggest movers, and with him being, and now going to be also having a little bit of drivers coming in, the 11, the 1, and the 28, all coming into pit road together.
Will it be clean? That's going to be the question. Can they get a pit road clean? We've already seen one driver that got a pit road speeding penalty, so what they don't want to do now is they don't want to get a pit road penalty here while they're making their last pit stop.
As well, we now see the group that is our lead pack drivers. It's Westfield, Colley, Zach, Gomillion, also that of Jonathan Pittman, a driver that we saw go a lap down during stage 1, but because of our third caution of the day, got himself back on the lead lap. I mean, it's incredible to see where these drivers are, but our top 5, all that maybe, it is a very huge maybe, might be able to save enough fuel if they back down their pace. They're trying their best up front, but the driver that we know for sure can make it based off of fuel, it's Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora. They're back in 8th and 9th place, 22 seconds, basically 23 seconds back from our leader.
Yeah, taking a look at the lap times of the driver you were talking about, 43.58 for Adam, and Cedric Hunter doing a 42.88. So definitely going to be closing that gap up, and maybe a combination between fresher tires and the front pack half is trying to save fuel, maybe backing off the throttle a little bit earlier. See how long it takes for that gap to close down.
And also the intensity is going to build up. What drivers are going to make mistakes potentially? This is a very long race, 240 miles these drivers are running here tonight, 120 laps, and that is a marathon, especially when you had a lot of those pacing and caution flags. I mean, that has to be draining to your mentality on top of having to run so many laps in the green.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's definitely weighing on you, and the biggest thing that these guys can hope for is that it stays green, especially for Cedric, to give him a chance to try and close that time down. Isn't making a whole lot of time up on him. These guys have 23 seconds.
And I do want to give note, yes, we're watching on board of this lead pack that is on the saving fuel strategy, hoping that they have saved enough, being in line, dropping back, not wanting to race with the lead lap drivers. They all came into pit road on that last yellow. It's going to be really close, but the pack that's further back for 8th position, that's where Vincent Sora, Jacob Morris, Danny Cochran, 3 drivers, teammates that have been working with one another. They all came into pit road together 15 laps ago, 16 laps ago once they come across the line. They are trying to work with one another, but you look at the ticker, they're pretty far back, and they're gaining slightly, but I don't think that they're gaining enough each lap to be close enough to make the pass for the lead.
Yeah, I don't see the big the big closure there. So if the front pack do run out of fuel, then yeah, they'll be able to work the wheel much faster. But I'm really curious on that. Again, being out there out front and not being in the draft as to how that's going to affect his fuel savings efforts as well.
And I do want to give a note of this pack that we're watching, the 8 of Tom Sinjak. We touched on the fact that he kept on waiting and waiting as long as he could. He now is going to be having a total of 5 lap pressure tires, and the 8, even on his lonesome, trying to make some passes potentially to try to move up and be the lead car of this group and could potentially win this race if our front, 5 or 6 cannot make it to the end.
It's interesting that we saw the leaders up front, like Danny, who ran up front for the majority of the race, first through 4th position, and I'm sure they never thought that the cars up front, Adam and Brandon and Zach, and all that they were running up front now, that they would have thought they stayed out that long. I'm sure they felt that they were going to be up there, this whole time. We see almost 3 wide there coming off the turn 4.
I mean, these drivers have to race aggressive because this could potentially be the pass for the lead if those front 7 drivers cannot make it on fuel. That is the biggest question for those drivers. It's 13 laps to go, and the drivers are looking like they could be about 5 to 8 laps shy of making it based off if they were going full throttle through a whole stint. But I don't know if they've been saving enough as Tom Simchek by his own now trying to become the lead driver of this pack, and he's done it.
He has done it. What a great move to clear that pass, and like you said, it could be the potential move of the race for him if the front runners decide to pit. But yeah, that's quite a few laps to have to try and save fuel on. I don't know that they can pull that off.
And with this pass that was being made, there is a lot of bickering in this group because you had the teammates of Vincent Sora, also that of Morris and Cochran all on the line. Well, they're frustrated on the fact that they could not even try to defend the 8 machine. They felt like they should have had enough time to defend from it. They just couldn't. They're now just sitting and waiting.
They are, but we got coming down to 10 laps to go here, so they still have time to catch back up to them and make a move. That number 8 is starting to gain some distance on them. That might not be a good thing if they're able to stay in that draft. They could chase them right back down.
Absolutely. I mean, right now, Tom Sinchek, he is gaining much quicker, and he's going to be the driver to watch out for. How much time are we going to be seeing? We're looking at the amount of time that Tom Sinchek has. 11 laps to go. He's gaining about a full second to our leaders, which means he's going to be about 5 seconds shy at the pace that we're going.
I just noticed there that Adam Westfield has dropped down to 3rd, fighting for 4th spot there. So it looks like he's really in fuel save mode right now.
Yeah, Westfield, he was the lead driver for the longest time. As you can see here, for Vanna Brandon Colley, our leader, back to Tom Sinchek. For Tom Sinchek, he was gaining a second and a half, then a 1.2. But now it's less than a second. It's now less than a half a second. Sinchek is not gaining enough time, but at the same time, he's being pulled back by Vincent Sora, and those drivers draft. You've got to pick and choose what duel, what fight do you really want to go after.
Yeah, exactly. With some of that, could be maybe the tires starting to equalize a little bit, but yeah, that side-by-side drafting definitely doesn't help that. But if you're watching the front runners and stuff, some of these guys are starting to fall a little bit farther back and letting off that throttle for a little bit sooner, a little bit longer before they get back on that throttle. So, these guys are definitely doing everything they can to save as much fuel as they possibly can, try to make it to the end. And I'll tell you, if they do, this is a really impressive, run since their last pit stop.
And now getting to see that, for that Tom Sinchek able to make the pass. He's up to 7th, got by that of Ryan Lewis, one of our highest running rookies currently. He's trying the same strategy just for a net gain for himself. Pass for the lead. as Zach Hall trying to figure out how to get by the 42. These are teammates, remember, from Category 5. They've spent all race, David, bickering and battling back to see who was going to be that 30th place position driver or last place. They now have a chance to see who can win this race.
What a turn of events, right? I mean,
Yellow.
we were talking about them being in the back, and as we have Thomas Walter and Thomas Walter being involved in an accident there.
Thomas Walter has been one of the biggest drivers that's been over the radio, just bickering and being upset, but gets just ran over by Cedric Hunter and Brian Johnson. And oh my goodness, a late yellow, giving these drivers up front a chance to get fresh tires, fuel, and the strategy to stay out works out. As David, we take a look at the incident of the 57 and the 13. It's just a blatant, just running them over.
Yeah, well, there's definitely no lift, at that point, and definitely got into his rear corner panel there, and then we see the 28. Looks like he made contact with him as well a couple of times with the 13.
Oh my goodness. This changes everything. Everything gets thrown out the window. And just like Thursday with the Stars and Stripes series, in the Xfinity cars, it was amazing racing. A lot of cautions coming up late. But with the timing of this caution, we could be going into an inside the regulation green, white checkered, or even just 3 laps to go, which we still have overtime attempts if needed. But Zach Hall, as well as everyone up front and everyone behind, the big question, do you come in for tires?
That is a big question. How many laps have they got on their tires since their last pit stop? It might be in their interest to go ahead and decide to make that pit stop and get that last set of tires and then make that run to the end. But I tell you, if you've enjoyed this race so far and you've loved the action you've seen, well, get ready because we're going to re-rack them and restack them, and we're going to see a final race to the end, and it's going to be absolutely crazy.
Well, most of the drivers come into pit road, and it has been crazy to see as the 30 is going to be the only driver that stays out, but up front, it's going to be that of Zach Hall, Brandon Colley leading the group into pit road. Absolutely spectacular racing that we've been seeing from these drivers, and David, I mean, wild to see how this race is just turned upside down. Drivers we never even thought would have had a shot for a chance to win, they're now up front challenging for a victory as 2 drivers did stay out. James Tremmel looks like he missed his pit box, so the 20 is going to have to come into pit road, but the 30 did stay out, but most likely they'll come in as well.
Yeah, these guys picking up their last set of tires, for the last few laps that we'll have here, and man, I'll tell you, it's going to be an exciting finish to watch these guys come down to turn 1 side by side with only a few laps remaining to try and get that checker flag and get that win here in this season.
And we just got word that, Michael Kempczynski came into pit road around lap 95. So that's about 19 laps back from the last time the 30 came into pit road. So he could be thinking about just staying out here. He's on just 18 lap older tires than the rest of the field, but why not try something up front, especially when you haven't had the best day, and staying up front? It's a risky call, but you're putting yourself in a position where you could have a shot to win.
Yeah, you could have a shot to win, or you just made the decision to try and get the best finish you can. So do something different and find a way to be able to pick up those spots, and that's what he's going with now. We'll see how this shakes out for him. It could be a tall order to be able to try and stay up front with those new tires behind him, but you got to roll the dice if you want to take a shot to win it.
Oh, unlucky. As you see the 6, that is Zach Kamela, who's going to be having to stay high and letting everyone else go on by. Oh, the 6, he thought he was trying to take a wave around, but not able to.
Yeah, that's just that's disappointing and heartbreaking for him. But yeah, Sam, I think we're in for a great finish here tonight. We got guys, Trumbull up front, and we got Mike and Zach Hall, Maurice, Jonathan, all these guys up front here. And this last restart, well, could be our last restart here. Should be a lot of fun. Should be a lot of fun to watch these guys just. I wouldn't be surprised. I think you mentioned earlier, can we see a bump and run here? I wouldn't put it past us seeing that here. And we could see that maybe even 8 tires are better than 4 going on as well.
Absolutely not, as it's going to be James Tremmel, Michael Kaminsky, who's going to be in the 30. Both drivers on older tires, but the 30 is going to be our control car on the outside. Zach Hall, Maurice Gilmillion, Jonathan Pittman, as well as Brandon Colley going to be your top 6. Martin Morales in 7th. And then you see the drivers that were leading up front. Tom Sinchek, Denny Cochran, and that of Jacob Morris. 8th, 9th, and 10th. Pace truck is off. It's going to be 4 laps to go here at the Auto Club 240. Green flag in the air, and they're already stacking up as automatically to the inside to the 21. And Brandon Colley's got to be careful as everyone's stacking up front. David, they're already 3 wide into turn number 1.
Yeah, new tires versus old tires there, and stacked up. I think one of the cars made contact with the outside wall as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting as we see these guys going 3 wide, washing up the track a little bit as well.
Contact with the 32 into the 20, trying to bump draft as they're on straight with the wrecking behind. Yellow flag waves, and we go into overtime.
Overtime it is, and we're going to re-rack it and restack it one more time. And again, I think we mentioned it right before we went to the green flag. It's going to be a crazy end to the race. You know, these guys are fighting for everything they can get on these tires. You throw old tires on the mix on the front, and it definitely stacks up the field as they get restarts.
The 41 of Ryan Lewis is going to be your incident here, and it's just further back drivers trying to gain everything that they can. And I mean, you're trying everything. Everyone's stacking up. You're trying to gain time. You get too close, and a little bit of a ding. There goes the 41.
Oh yeah, definitely unfortunate for him. Just to get caught up in that. You hate to see that when you come to the end when you're having a good race going. But Sam, I don't know. We hope not to have any more cautions, but again, there's a lot of aggressions when you get all the cars stacked back up like we do on restarts. Everybody feels they have a chance to work their way up to the front. If you're in the front, you have a shot. Trying to make that last pass for the win. So it's going to be aggressive.
Oh, absolutely. The aggression level is going to raise even higher because most of the drivers have already used their final set of tires, and they're just here to race it to the end. And some of our biggest movers so far, our leader, that of Michael Kaminsky, is going to be up 30 positions from where he started back in 31st position. And with now us going past, we are now officially, David, overtime. We have 3 attempts if needed. It's going to be our first attempt at a green-white checkered. And for these drivers, if we get to a white flag, we race it to the end. But if a yellow comes before we get the white flag, we will then go into our next attempt. And if we get to our 3rd attempt, if we get a yellow, or if we get to the white flag, that will be the conclusion of the race. And it's all about the drivers up front. How well can they go? As there's actually over race control, the 30 has been deemed with the penalty. He jumped the restart and now is going to get an EOL as Michael's going to go backwards all the way to the end of the line, which is now going to be gifting the lead to Maurice Gilmillion in the 44.
Oh, what a heartbreak for him. I was just getting ready to say that, while you were talking about the cautions and stuff, he was probably, the happiest to see the cautions that were taking place and was going to give him his best shot maybe to get a win. And then, man, that penalty just killed that for him.
Yeah, he's going to take the tow, and he's out of the race. He has already just dumped it. Instead of just going to the end of the line and seeing what's going to happen, there's still a lot of racing. The 30 just giving up with the start of overtime, or you could have gained a lot of spots. That is just one of those broken things, and it was a jumped restart. That's why the penalty was given. But man, you hate to see it. I mean, we got the rules; they're there. Admins are following with the rules, and it was a penalty given out, and a driver just not happy with it, so he gives up at the end of the race.
Yeah, those rules are out there for a reason, and if you're not used to being up front and being the leader and stuff like that. You try to take every advantage you can, and that time just didn't work out for him. But now you're gonna have James Tremmel out there, on the inside lane. This could be an advantage for him now. He's only got, I think his lap just up was on lap 94, so could be able to give an opportunity to get out there in the lead and maybe squeak out a win.
Absolutely. Again, Maurice Gilmillion, the 44, is going to be the starting as drivers further back making contact, and they're wrecking on the restart here. We're extending the caution as an issue further back. of the drivers that were around 19th position, someone just had issues, and I think it might have been Dylan Walterman that just went up into the wall, wrecked, got into Loveland, and Dakota Moniz involved, no, as well as Alex Light. As here's the replay, he just goes up into the wall. Just, it looks like maybe his monitor went down and just thought he would just dump it in the wall and that would fix the issue. But other drivers had issues.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's definitely disappointing there. And yeah, you have to imagine that, there had been some kind of technical issue with the system there, and just couldn't see where he was going. But unfortunately, the other guys got caught up in that as well.
Yeah, just got the reports in. Dylan Walterman over the radio. My screen froze. Just give me an EOL. I did not want to cause any more issues. 99 was gifted that EOL. He's going to the end of the line, and we have to now reset the field again. And David, we haven't even tried attempt one yet at overtime, and it's already a lot of changes have happened.
Yeah, a lot of changes. Could be some tempers starting to flare as well. Which could put in play of another caution coming out. So the lights are off on the pace truck as we get ready to come to the restart. But again, I think we're in for another exciting finish here. With this league and watching these guys come around. But we're going to see 3 wide, 4 wide as we're going to be coming to the end.
Yeah, big thing to watch out for. James Tremmel in the 20 is on 20 lap older tires than the rest of the field. So he is going to be hoping not to be caught up with wheel spin on the inside and clogging everyone up. The outside line, everyone's got fresh tires. They should be able to take off on this restart. So the outside lane might be where you want to go. So the 32 of Zach Hall, he's got to be quick, decisive on making this restart and making the move. But it is going to be very close and heavy on where drivers are going to lie on this restart. As David, we get ready. First attempt at overtime.
Yeah, here we go. Get ready. It's going to be exciting. Again, are we going to see wheel spin and how's that stacking up? But we're going to see 3 or 4 wide as we come into this race. Everyone's going to be trying to get that position. And those guys up front are going to be trying to get that win.
It's overtime, ladies and gentlemen, for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. It's race 3, Auto Club 240. And here we go, attempt number 1. Green flag in the air as Barney the Flagman starts waving it. And it's Maurice Gomillion on the outside. Moving up is James Tremmel, giving a lot of space to Zach Hall on the inside. But they're already making contact further back. They're spinning, they're wrecking, and yellow flag waves and hard contact further back.
Yeah, hard contact on the inside wall there. We see about 4 or 5 cars that got wrapped up in that. So you bring it in, having to restack them. And I think this was, our second attempt?
This is going to be our first attempt. We're now going into first second. That first, just getting to the first attempt was so long that we now get to go into our second attempt.
Yeah, so we see here, cars already starting to go 3 wide. A little bit of contact there from the car that close on the outside wall there. Can't quite make out which car that is, but just bounced off the wall and came down.
Yeah, it looks like it was Alex Light, but he got bumped by the 41, got shoved in the outside wall, and everyone else taken out. And man, it's one of those things where drivers trying to anticipate, get a gap in. Big issue was the 41 of Lewis that backed off and came in and just tried to split the middle and cause that ultra calamity.
Yeah, the aggressions has always been out there. When you're a driver, you're always going to be aggressive, trying to gain spots from the drop of the green flag. But it really picks up as we start coming to the closer of the end of the race, and that's what we're seeing now. And you start throwing in some tires between just different sets of the cars, and it just adds to it. I think that we talked about this is a wide track, places to go, but when you're 3 and 4 wide, making last minute dives, sometimes this is what you see. But what again, for us and for our fans, we get to see another great restart for these guys up front and see who can pull away this win.
Yeah, it's going to be Maurice Gomillion, James Tremmel, Brandon Colley, Tom Sinchek now going to be up to 4th with Zach Hall in 5th. And his drivers picking and choosing where they want to go. But the 2, Danny Cochran, into pit road. Issues for the 2 machine.
Wow, we're seeing a lot of issues here towards the end. But the guys with the that have the freshest tire up front. And I was really impressed with the fact that we didn't see any wheel spin. Was from James there. Had a good restart, was able to get to the high line pretty quickly. So we'll see if he can pull that off again during this next restart.
Yeah, weird to see Danny Cochran into pit road. He was up inside of the top 15, actually inside the top 10. And now the two back to 20th position, still getting service done. Oh man, you hate to see for a driver that was our pole sitter and one of the threats to win today's race potentially, but chaos happens. We've seen a lot of issues here late that have thrown a giant just unknowns for everybody up here, for us up at the booth and also on track.
Yeah, I don't think we would have ever guessed this playing out the way it has so far. But that's racing. That's what you come here. This is why you come on the track and race, is just for all the different scenarios and strategies and everything that takes part of it. No driver likes getting caught up in wrecks or have technical issues or anything like that. But it is part of the sport. It is part of the sim racing world. That's what makes this so much fun to do.
All right. Again, this is overtime. We're in attempt number 2. We have 3 if needed. So if we get a yellow before we get to the white flag, we go into that third attempt where that will be officially our last attempt at a restart. Either the race ends under yellow or we race it under green. But David, I think for us in the booth, either finish, we just hope that it's a good one at the end.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully it doesn't end on caution, and we get to see a great finish towards the end. And these guys are able to get it sorted out for the last few laps, but the lights are off in the truck, and we're going to get to see how all this is going to finish out and shake out, who ends up winning, and how many guys just are able to jockey for the last several positions. But a crazy race to the end. I still think we're in for a great finish.
Absolutely. Well, that first attempt, what did we learn? We learned, hey, don't wreck under pacing, and also don't be the driver that's all the way back, just lingering back to try to force it 3 wide before you even get to the start-finish line and cause a wreck. But up front, drivers just want to get going, see who can race everyone on same tires except for the 20 of James Tremmel, that inside row. Got to be careful that the 20 doesn't wheel spin here. Space Truck waits to pull off and take that hard left-hander to pit road. Maurice Gomillion, James Tremmel, Brandon Colley, Thompson, check Zach, all your top 5. We've had 7 cautions. We'll see if we need any more yellows. Pace Truck is off. And the Auto Club 240 waits for the green. And we are green. They're taking off. Clean start for our front 2 as we go past and into turn number 1. It's side by side for the lead.
Turn number 1, made it past the checker there to get going here. Turn 1 still side by side. Expect to be able to see 3 wide here shortly.
There are going to be 2 wide. Almost thinking about forcing it 3 wide, almost 4 wide at one moment. Here comes Zach Hall, who's going to be trying to pressure Colley. They're slicing and dicing further back, but up front, it's Tom Stenchek to the inside. The 8 who dominated the first half, trying to get redemption after not winning at Atlanta. Contact, Vincent Sora holds on somehow. No, flipping, wrecking, and we go into our third attempt as the 15 still flipping and scattering. Oh no, Vincent Sora wrecking, and just like that, he's gone. So is his teammate Morris, and a little bit of flashbacks of Monday night on the Truck Series at Las Vegas. Vincent Sora similar at turn 4, flipping, and there we go. We're going into attempt number 3.
What a wild ride that is. I would be interested to go inside the cockpit there and ride around with him and see that accident from his point of view, because it just absolutely crazy as we see him here trying to save it, just couldn't get it, hits the wall, goes airborne, and just continues to roll at the high speeds that these guys race at.
I mean, it's just chaos at the end. And you just see him continue to tumble and scrape, and just everyone's trying their best not to be involved, but it is calamity, especially in these restarts. Everyone's so jam-packed on top of one another. A lot of these drivers had already used their fast repairs. And that's the risk sometimes of coming into pit road. You're stuck back there in the chaos. And we now go into our final attempts at overtime.
Yep, this is it. This is our final. It'll be our final attempt. So we're going to go ahead and re-rack them and restack them and try this one more time. And I don't expect to see any changes in the aggression level. I think these guys, are going to be aggressive here, knowing that it's the last caution. They're going to try to pick up whatever positions they can. But man, what a horrific wreck that was, and tumbling just down the track, and guys not having anywhere to go and getting collected in that as well. So racing for as many laps they have, and then get caught up in the wreck towards the end in the race, just got to be challenging and heartbreaking, not the way you wanted to finish.
Absolutely. And, Brandon Jenks going to be finding himself and going to be DNFing for the day. But up front, Tom Sinchek just carving his way on the outside and finding just the perfect spots. I mean, sometimes that's what you just need is a little bit of luck on your side to find those perfect moments to drop down and everything just opens up here late. It looked like that is exactly what happened to this 8 machine.
Yeah, exactly. And just couple of shout outs there. You got our top 4. You got Tom and Maurice. You got Brandon Coley and Zach Hall. Even James still hanging on there. He lost about 4 spots, 3 or 4 spots from that last restart. But he's probably enjoying these last cautions because it's keeping him more towards the front. But he's going to be a challenge for him to be able to stay up there if we're able to get these last few laps in.
Yeah, I mean, for that of James Tremmel, I mean, you got to think for that 20 machine came in. I mean, he decided to not pit once the green-white checker. I mean, the late yellow came out when we only had 4 laps to go under green actual regulation of the race before overtime. Then we got a late wreck that put us into overtime, and he's been on these older tires than everyone else, but it has been a complete net gain for this 20 team that most likely, if he did not just came into pit road when he was with everyone else, would have been fighting for a top 15 position and could have been even involved in some of these late cautions that we've been seeing here.
Yeah, definitely. And just taking a look at Ethan Smith, we talked about him earlier. That I think he had a pit road penalty earlier, but ended up dropping a little bit farther to the back. He's back up 15 spots into the top 12. So pretty good recovery for him for the issues he had earlier in this race.
Well, up front, we touched on the fact of our top 5. Well, you look even further back. I mean, Jonathan Pittman, 21. I mean, that's another team that you're just like, man, how are you up here? It's kind of similar to Zach Hall and Brandon Colley of how did you guys get up here with the days you were having? It was the late yellow while we were under regulation that really gave these drivers a chance to race up front. And here they go for a chance to get victory. And also a chance to probably get one of their best finishes of the season so far. We wait for the pace truck to pull off. It's Thompson, Jack, Maurice Gilmillion, Brandon Colley, Zach Hall, James Tremmel. Your top 5. Pace truck is off, and this is it, our final restart. It's the Auto Club 240, and we are green. And immediately Thompson, Jack, got to be staying low. Got to defend where Colley is going, but at the same time, where is the 44 going to go for potential passes? They're side by side into turn number 1.
Yeah, coming through turn number 1, the 42 decides to go to the outside lane, give the 44 a little bit of draft help. That could hurt the number 8, but we'll see if he's able to hang on.
They're still side by side, and they're all in line. It's going to be that of Maurice Gilmillion. Going to be trying to make the move. He'll make the pass, drop down low. Here comes down by Brandon Colley, trying to make that third lane work. He's going to be pinched by the 44, moves him up, and here comes that of Tom Sinchek. A defensive move. Teammates working with one another, but they almost made contact. Here comes Zach Hall to the inside, trying to make a pass, blocking by Tom Sinchek. Freaky fast, 1 to go, is up, and we're 3 wide. It's Zach Hall on the inside into turn 1. We're 3 into 1 there, David.
3 into 1, 2 right behind them. So yeah, it's going to be a heck of a finish here as the 44 gets a run on the outside.
Zach Hall going to be making the pass, but here comes that of Brian Johnson, one of the fastest drivers of the first 20 laps of this race. It's not over yet. Coming out of turn 4, we'll see who gets the big run. Gilmillion giving a bump to Zach Hall. Is it enough? He's on the apron for the 32. He holds on, but Johnson used momentum for the 28. Zach Hall, who ran in last place all race long, now up front gets the win at Auto Club.
What a finish and what a job by Zach Hall. Like you said, went to the back and drove his way back up to the front. What a great job by him. And then the job that he did in blocking as well and keeping the car behind him, doing that mirror driving, great job by Zach Hall.
Brian Johnson absolutely did everything possible. And Zach Hall coming into today's race, 33rd in points. He still needs to get himself points-wise up front and be in the top 25 in points. But this is already the best way to rebound with the first 2 races of the season. How terrible they were going. But Zach Hall, the strategy to stay out, the late caution allowed him to be up front. And after really bickering of teammates, the 8 of Tom Sinchek and Maurice Gomillion, they make contact, give an opening, and it's the 32 up front, able to defend and get the win here for the Auto Club 240. Holy cow, David. I cannot believe it.
I can't imagine just the emotions for Zach. I mean, this has got to be one of the most memorable wins for him to have under his belt. To like you said, go from the back to the front. What a great job, and just never give up. Constantly just staying in the race and trying different strategies. And here he is celebrating in victory lane. Just a fantastic job by him.
I mean, what's even crazier, we're going to touch on it during our interviews, is we're going to talk to our top 3. What was going through Zach Hall's mind when he started on pit road? The only driver to try that strategy out, it practically failed as he blows his engine. We get to ask Zach Hall that question. What was going through his mind all race long? We'll be right back here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, talking to our top 3, Brian Johnson, Maurice Gomillion, and Zach Hall, winner here at Auto Club for the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series. We'll be right back in just a few. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to that of the NAISCC Track Racer Cup Series here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You gotta see short track racing at a 2-mile course at Auto Club. It was incredible. It was insane. We had to talk to some of the drivers that were up front trying to get a win here. We're gonna start things off with that of Brian Johnson on how he cut his way and carved his way up front to go from practically 8th up to 3rd. Brian, it's Sam up at the booth. You got me?
I sure do.
Well, just give a little bit of a brief thoughts going into those final couple of restarts.
Well, I can't really say what I want to say about this package, but it's tough to pass. You can only pass on the first 2 laps, so you gotta be super aggressive on the restarts and just try to get as much as you can there because it's not gonna happen after 5 laps. Early in the race, I was in the lead, and it took 3 cars ganging up on me to try to get around me, and you know it, it's it's tough to race, but luckily for at least for the show and everything, having those green white checkers at the end definitely puts everybody on the edge of the seat. And I mean, it is fun, but those long runs, it's hard to get anything done because between the side draft and the tires, it's pretty frustrating, but you got to make the most of what you got. And 3rd place, I think that's pretty good.
Hey, Brian, it's Dave Medina up here in the booth with Sam. Just wanted to ask you if you brought home a 3rd place finish. So, what do you think you needed to be able to get a shot at pulling off a victory?
Uh, well, I mean, usually I'd say more time, but I don't think more time would have helped there. I mean, really, some sort of tire advantage would have helped at the end, but that's hard to get with we call it the tire lottery now. Me and Cedric, we tried that last race a couple weeks ago, and we lost that lottery. So with how everything is it's high risk, high reward. But you either come out on top or you come out dead last. So maybe if I had another lap, 1 or 2 laps, I could have got second. But as the leader, it's really tough to get around the leader. So yeah, probably one more lap, got a second. But other than that, I think Zach had it.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, we got to see a lot of hard racing in those last couple of laps, and coming up shy here, but we know that you've been able to get to victory lane. We saw it last season. We got that of Road America, Pocono, and Dover coming up. How are you feeling about those next couple of racetracks?
Yeah, I mean, Pocono has always been one of my better tracks. That one with the way things are now, that might be a little bit more difficult. Dover's always been one of my better tracks as well. Anything with that 750 horsepower package, I think is going to be my best shots to win. So all the road courses, the short tracks, and things like that. I'll get a win. It'll come, but at the beginning of the season with the changes that were made and the way the schedule was, I knew I wasn't going to get 7 like I did last season.
Yeah, especially with also competition getting a lot closer. Brian, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
I just got to thank, first and foremost, my teammate Nick Crawford. We had a good time racing tonight, and then all the other guys in the league. The feelings got hurt during the race and after the race here, but everybody's just racing with what we got. So um, everybody will get along eventually. But got to thank all the drivers in this league and the admins, and then of course you guys always doing a great job, and then everybody that tuned in. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I think from a spectator standpoint, that one was a pretty good one. So yeah, we'll just keep trucking from here.
Absolutely. That's Brian Johnson in the 28 machine from Magnitude 9. Finished 3rd here tonight, but good luck next week at Road America. I mean,
Thanks.
that Daytona road course.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Got myself confused. Road America was ran last season. They're going to Daytona road course next week. Should be a good one, but a driver that almost had a chance to beat Zach Hall, but got bumped by the 8. It's that of Maurice Gomillion that we bring in. Maurice, it's Sam and David up in the booth. You got us?
I do.
Well, you were up front, the control car, and then you saw Tom Sinchek come in. You guys made a little bit of contact. He pushed you up. You tried very defensive moves as well. Man, give us your final thoughts on those last couple of restarts.
It was wild for sure. Um, that's some teammate there, so we trying to race each other as clean as possible, but sometimes we might touch a little bit here and there. But yeah, Tom is he's an animal, so it was hard to kind of keep him off. And then of course Zach, he came from out of nowhere. That was awesome from him as well. So, but it was fun. It was fun. I wish I could have got that win though, but I do what I do.
Hey, Maurice, it's David. I just want to congratulate you on your race, P2 finish, bringing it home in second place and moving up 12 spots. Kind of walk us through, what you had to do to work your way to the front.
A lot of it was actually the pit strategy that we had. I think one of the cautions I think we had like 50 some odd laps to go. I think most of my teammates stayed out, and they were kind of debating on whether or not they were going to come in. So I was like, "I'm coming in, just come in," and I just pretty much saved from that point forward. Just kind of running the high line, just taking my time and saving fuel.
Well, fantastic job, man. Congratulations.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, Maurice, this is probably one of the best finishes you've had in quite a long time. How do you feel like you're going to be able to carry this momentum throughout the next couple of races here?
It definitely gives me a boost. I have great teammates. They always try to push me as much as possible. So, this will definitely help as far as momentum.
Well, Maurice, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Just I want to thank RS Racing. Give a shout out to them, James, Tom, Kyle. Those guys, like I said, they really good teammates, and I really appreciate them taking me under their wing and showing me the ropes. Um, and just all the fans, you guys doing such a great job with the broadcast. It's awesome. Really, really good to see the broadcasts all over again. It's awesome.
Well, Maurice, thank you for joining us here tonight, and congratulations on a second place finish, and good luck going into these next couple of races.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That's going to be Maurice Gomillion in the 44 of RS Racing. Second place runner comes up just shy, but the man who started from pit road, who then came back to win, one of the oddest strategies you could have asked for, but somehow he made it work. Zach Hall up in the booth. Zach, it's David and I up in the booth. You're just making us mind blown, losing what words to say. How did you get that done?
Oh man, a lot of luck and a lot of strategy played out into that. Kind of went in tonight with a different strategy than I've been doing the last week. Tried to run in the pack, and keep the speed. But with this package, man, you can't race. It's just plain out simple. You can't race with it, and you get stuck in there. You get frustrated. I wasn't trying to get frustrated tonight, so I said, no, I'm gonna qualify fifth. Try to get as far up as I could on the pit road. Start from pit road and just kind of rode there and I was trying to, I was hoping most people start wrecking out. But luckily, the way the cautions played, we had a caution around 53, I think, to go, and I knew I could go around 51 to 52 laps if I saved. Topped off at 51, and from there was just saving fuel. And I think it was gonna be a 1-2 between me and Brandon there. We were plenty good on fuel. That caution comes out, that kind of changed up everything, man. But I can't lie to you. I that was the weirdest win I've ever had in my career personally. I'll take it, but definitely one that is I just don't know how I'm here personally.
Zach, it's David. I brought it up after the race there that this this had to be one of your maybe your most memorable wins that you've had. You kind of walk us through. What was it like going from the back to the front? I mean, what was your viewpoint, and what were some of your challenges? Starting from the back and then just kind of going all the way to the front.
Yeah, not a lot of passes actually. Most of that was done, like I said, through saving fuel. And once I had enough fuel, I started passing fuel because I think a lot of people were really saving fuel. They didn't top off like us at that stop, and that allowed me really to start pushing there. And it was kind of one by one at that point. But there at the end, going down in the four there, I think Brandon was trying to get the go mins outside, and they made contact. As soon as I seen that, I was committed to pushing him around the top around him and trying to help him get that dub there. But as soon as I seen that, I knew I had to cut it low, and I cut low, and somehow got a big run as Tom. I don't know. I personally, when I went 3 wide there, I thought I was going to finish fifth, sixth, or seventh. I was like, the bottom all night is just not the place to go. And as soon as I heard clear from the spotter man, I immediately slid up, and I was just surprised how big a gap I had coming off of two. I thought personally, I thought I was going to have to do a lot of defending down to three, and kind of got surprised by it. That was mind blowing personally. I don't know how I made that one stick personally.
Well, what a fantastic job! I mean, your car is clean, and congratulations on this victory. Just as a race fan, it was great to watch you bring home this win. So congratulations.
Well, thank you very much, man. Yeah, I can't wait for especially next week. Gonna be a pretty special race for me on my birthday, and I think I can go out there and possibly go for 2 in a row. I really think I'm gonna have a good shot next week at the road course. So can't wait to get there.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, coming into this race, you were 33rd in points. How much was your mentality coming into today's race? Did you feel like you even had a shot to win, or was it just I just want points?
Good point there, Sam. Like I didn't think I had a shot to win tonight. Did some practice races and personally did a few practice laps, and I was like, well, this is gonna be pretty much the same thing I expected it was gonna be. So I don't need to practice. Kind of said whatever this week and just showed up. Didn't even really do practice laps in the practice session. Just a few messing around, making sure everything's good. But yeah, it was mostly just to come out here tonight and get good points. I was trying to make that climb back up to hopefully get close to the playoffs, so I can get back to that Final Four like last season. And luckily, it all worked out and got some great points actually. So more than I expected, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Zach, before we let you go, the floor is yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, first off, shout out to you guys up in the booth. Always an amazing job, not only working with you guys, but going back and listening to you guys commentate the races that I take part in. So, got to compliment y'all on what y'all do up in the booth, and I'm sure that was pretty wild there coming down to the end. So I can't wait to go watch that back. Shout out to all the drivers out there. I know it was a tough night. Auto Club is a track that can bring out your anger. I know that from my season, and there was a lot of angry guys out there tonight. And I took the mentality where I'm just going to try to keep a cool head, and I think that prevailed for me tonight and let me get to this position. But shout out to them, everybody on the racetrack. I know it was tough, and then most shout out also to the league admins. They do a great job, and it's hard dealing with this stuff right now. Just the way the packages, it's just so difficult for us to race each other, and it makes all the frustrations cool. So I gotta compliment the admins on doing their best to keep everybody calm, cool, and collect there. And then last but not least, my teammates, man, Brandon and Cedric here on Cat 5 this season. We're trying our best to make up the positions me and Brandon lost early in the season that Cedric gained for us, and hopefully this will help out the team standings for us. So shout out my teammates, shout out to everybody viewing, and hopefully next week at Daytona works out the same way that it did tonight.
Hopefully. Well, Zach, congratulations on the win here tonight, and good luck next week at Daytona Road Course.
Thank you guys.
Well, David, what a race. I mean, I don't think there's any way to perfectly say, but what a race here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. We got to see so many things going on, and guys racing 3 wide, in some cases 4 wide, and guys get caught up in wrecks and monitor failures and all kinds of stuff going on, and got Zach going from the back to the front. What a great race tonight, and expect to see another great race on the road course next week.
Absolutely. And we look now at our final results. Zach Hall, Maurice Gilmillion, Brian Johnson. We just talked to our top three. Tom Sinchek coming up shy in fourth. But Jonathan Pittman, a top 5 finish for the 21 team. One of the first drivers to go a lap down, but comes back with a top 5 finish. Brady Colley as well. Great recovery for the 42. James Loveland in 7th. Cedric Hunter in 8th. 9th goes to Max Foner. And then James Tremmel with the extremely old tires compared to everyone else, a top 10 finish for the 20 team. And as we look at the rest of the results, David, what are some of the drivers that you're looking at that kind of catch your eye of either having a good day or kind of a day that you weren't expecting?
Well, Ethan had a good run. We saw him, start off and gain some positions early in the race, and then, ended up having a pit penalty, and then, coming back up. So great run by him. And then unfortunate for Danny, our pole sitter, started off on the pole and was running up front for most of the race, and then, just had some issues and fell back to a little bit mid-pack there. So, just some really good races for some guys and not so good races for others. But that's the great thing about racing, is that you get to redo it again next week.
Hey, it's only race number 3. Still plenty of racing action to be seen. And as well, 3 races, David, 3 different winners. We'll see if it continues on. But Zach Hall sounds very comfortable and confident that next week could be a race for him to win. But we know there's a lot of other fast road course drivers and some new drivers that we don't know what speed they're going to have, but it is exciting to see it. But David, before we kick it off to our producer, what are some of your final thoughts here tonight?
Well, what an exciting race we saw here at this 2-mile track, wide track, a lot of room, just some great racing. And, I think Zach said that, we had some tempers flaring and stuff like that. And now we're moving on to a road course, next week. And I think that's going to be another action-packed race. So make sure you tune in and don't miss anything. It's going to be a great race again next week.
Absolutely. Daytona Road Course for 45 laps. We'll see if the drivers can hold on, keep their tempers settled, because a lot of drivers, they are upset after tonight, but other drivers excited. Zach Hall finally getting a win, breaking the streak. But David, thank you so much for joining me up in the booth. That's David Funky Coleman Medina and myself, Sam Dyer. Thank you so much for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But like always, we aren't the final call. We got to throw it over to our producer so we can finish off our call here tonight.
All right. Thank you, David. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, everybody out there, for watching here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Like the gentleman said, this is round number 3 in the books. Congratulations to Zach. That's the way to point your way up through to get up into the points. You're locked in right now. Kinda. You still got to do a little bit more racing and get yourself up into them points there, so you can make sure that you're definitely locked in to make it to that final 4, hopefully, by the end of the season. But like you guys said, we are heading to Daytona Road Course next week. Now, that's a whole different beast, a whole different ballpark, and it's going to be fun to see the Road Ringers come out, and we're going to see who can maybe lock themselves into the playoffs and hopefully be in the points area where they need to be to lock themselves in here at NAISCC Cup Series here every Saturday night. So, man, what great racing. Auto Club, we're here back to back here with Stars and Stripes, and now with these guys here in the Cup Series. It was fun watching them on Thursday night, and it was definitely fun watching them here at the end of the race. But again, we want to say thank you to everybody out there for tuning in. You know what to do. If you're going back and watching this replay, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and bell button here on YouTube. You can also hit that share and share it to your favorite social media platform of your choosing. We do much appreciate it. Our next televised broadcast here will be tomorrow night at 7:50, as we will have David Medina and Zach Hall, our race winner, calling all the action tomorrow night at 7:50 with Sim Racing Unleashed as they end their season, last race of the season at Kentucky. So make sure you come out and see who wins that championship tomorrow night at 7:50 I believe in the Cup cars. I think they're in. I don't think it's the Gen cars. I think it's the Cup cars. But we'll have to see. So make sure you tune in tomorrow night. But with that being said, have a great rest of your Saturday night. Please be safe on Sunday. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy your racing and all your sport events that you do at home or if you go out. But until tomorrow night, here at Freaky Fast, we want to say God bless everybody. We love you all. Peace out.
The rookies are fighting. The rookies are fighting.
There's a brawl in the parking lot.
Oh, my Lord. The veterans all went to go get popcorn, and they're sitting and watching.